I am that. Talks with Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. A compilation by Sri Maurice Frydman. 46. Awareness of being is bliss. Questioner. By profession I am a physician. I began with surgery, continued with psychiatry, and also wrote some books on mental health and healing by faith. I came to you to learn the laws of spiritual health. Maharaj, when you are trying to cure a patient, what exactly are you trying to cure? What is cure? When can you say that a man is cured? Q. I seek to cure the body as well as improve the link between the body and the mind. I also seek to set right the mind. M. Did you investigate the connection between the mind and the body? At what point are they connected? Q. Between the body and the indwelling consciousness lies the mind. M. Is not the body made of food? And can there be a mind without food? Q. The body is built and maintained by food. Without food the mind usually goes weak. But the mind is not mere food. There is a transforming factor which creates a mind in the body. What is that transforming factor? M. Just like the wood produces fire which is not wood, so does the body produce the mind which is not the body. But to whom does the mind appear? Who is the perceiver of the thoughts and feelings which you call the mind? There is wood. There is fire, and there is the enjoyer of the fire. Who enjoys the mind? Is the enjoyer also a result of food, or is it independent? Q. The perceiver is independent. M. How do you know? Speak from your own experience. You are not the body nor the mind. You say so. How do you know? Q. I really do not know. I guess so. M. Truth is permanent. The real is changeless. What changes is not real. What is real does not change. Now, what is it in you that does not change? As long as there is food, there is body and mind. When the food is stopped, the body dies and the mind dissolves. But does the observer perish? Q. I guess it does not. But I have no proof. M. You yourself are the proof. You have not, nor can you have any other proof. You are yourself. You know yourself. You love yourself. Whatever the mind does, it does for the love of its own self. The very nature of the self is love. It is loved, loving and lovable. It is the self that makes the body and the mind so interesting, so very dear. The very attention given to them comes from the self. Q. If the self is not the body nor the mind, can it exist without the body and the mind? M. Yes, it can. It is a matter of actual experience that the self is being independent of mind and body. It is being. Awareness bliss. Awareness of being is bliss. Q. It may be a matter of actual experience to you, but it is not my case. How can I come to the same experience? What practices to follow? What exercises to take up? M. To know that you are neither body nor mind. Watch yourself steadily and live unaffected by your body and mind. Completely aloof. As if you were dead. It means you have no vested interests. either in the body or in the mind. Q. Dangerous. M. I am not asking you to commit suicide. Nor can you. You can only kill the body. You cannot stop the mental process. Nor can you put an end to the person you think you are. Just remain unaffected. This complete aloofness, unconcern with mind and body is the best proof that at the core of your being you are neither mind nor body. What happens to the body and the mind may not be within your power to change, but you can always put an end to your imagining yourself to be body and mind. Whatever happens, remind yourself that only your body and mind are affected, not yourself. The more earnest you are at remembering what needs to be remembered, the sooner will you be aware of yourself as you are. For memory will become experience. Earnestness reveals being. What is imagined and willed becomes actuality. Here lies the danger as well as the way out. Tell me, what steps have you taken to separate your real self, that in you which is changeless, from your body and mind? Q. I am a medical man. I have studied a lot. I imposed on myself a strict discipline in the way of exercises and periodical fasts, and I am a vegetarian. M. But in the depth of your heart, what is it that you want? Q. I want to find reality. M. What price are you willing to pay for reality? Any price? Q. Well, in theory I am ready to pay any price. In actual life again and again I am being prompted to behave in ways which come in between me and reality. Desire carries me away. M. Increase and widen your desires till nothing but reality can fulfill them. It is not desire that is wrong, but its narrowness and smallness. Desire is devotion. By all means be devoted to the real, the infinite, the eternal heart of being. Transform desire into love. All you want is to be happy. All your desires, whatever they may be, are expressions of your longing for happiness. Basically, you wish yourself well. Q. I know that I should not. M. Wait. Who told you that you should not? What is wrong with wanting to be happy? Q. The self must go. L. No. M. But the self is there. Your desires are there. Your longing to be happy is there. Why? Because you love yourself. By all means love yourself. Wisely. What is wrong is to love yourself stupidly, so as to make yourself suffer. Love yourself wisely. Both indulgence and austerity have the same purpose in view: to make you happy. Indulgence is the stupid way. Austerity is the wise way. Q. What is austerity? M. Once you have gone through an experience, not to go through it again is austerity. To eschew the unnecessary is austerity. Not to anticipate pleasure or pain is austerity. Having things under control at all times is austerity. Desire by itself is not wrong. It is life itself, the urge to grow in knowledge and experience. It is the choices you make that are wrong. To imagine that some little thing, food, sex, power, fame, will make you happy is to deceive yourself. Only something as vast and deep as your real self can make you truly and lastingly happy. Q. Since there is nothing basically wrong in desire as an expression of love of self, how should desire be managed? M. Live your life intelligently, with the interests of your deepest self always in mind. After all, what do you really want? Not perfection. You are already perfect. What you seek is to express in action what you are. For this you have a body and a mind. Take them in hand and make them serve you. Q. Who is the operator here? Who is to take the body, mind and hand? M. The purified mind is the faithful servant of the self. It takes charge of the instruments, inner and outer, and makes them serve their purpose. Q. And what is their purpose? M. The self is universal and its aims are universal. There is nothing personal about the self. Live an orderly life, but don't make it a goal by itself. It should be the starting point for high adventure. Q. Do you advise me to come to India repeatedly? M. If you are earnest, you don't need moving about. You are yourself wherever you are and you create your own climate. Locomotion and transportation will not give you salvation. You are not the body, and dragging the body from place to place will take you nowhere. Your mind is free to roam the three worlds. Make full use of it. Q. If I am free, why am I in a body? M. You are not in the body. The body is in you. The mind is in you. They happen to you. They are there because you find them interesting. Your very nature has the infinite capacity to enjoy. It is full of zest and affection. It sheds its radiance on all that comes within its focus of awareness, and nothing is excluded. It does not know evil nor ugliness. It hopes. It trusts. It loves. You people do not know how much you miss by not knowing your own true self. You are neither the body nor the mind, neither the fuel nor the fire. They appear and disappear according to their own laws. That which you are, your true self, you love it, and whatever you do for your own happiness. To find it, to know it, to cherish it is your basic urge. Since time immemorial you loved yourself, but never wisely. Use your body and mind wisely in the service of the self. That is all. Be true to your own self. Love yourself absolutely. Do not pretend that you love others as yourself. Unless you have realized them as one with yourself, you cannot love them. Don't pretend to be what you are not. Don't refuse to be what you are. Your love of others is the result of self-knowledge, not its cause. Without self-realization, no virtue is genuine. When you know beyond all doubting that the same life flows through all that is and you are that life, you will love all naturally and spontaneously. When you realize the depth and fullness of your love of yourself, you know that every living being and the entire universe are included in your affection. But when you look at anything as separate from you, you cannot love it, for you are afraid of it. Alienation causes fear and fear deepens alienation. It is a vicious circle. Only self-realization can break it. Go for it resolutely. 47. Watch your mind. Questioner: in one's search for the essential, one soon realizes one's inadequacy and the need for a guide or a teacher. This implies a certain discipline, for you are expected to trust your guide and follow implicitly his advice and instruction. Yet the social urgencies and pressures are so great, personal desires and fears so powerful, that the simplicity of mind and will, essential in obedience, are not forthcoming. How to strike a balance between the need for a guru and the difficulty in obeying him implicitly. Maharaj: what is done under pressure of society and circumstances does not matter much, for it is mostly mechanical, mere acting to impacts. It is enough to watch oneself dispassionately, to isolate oneself completely from what is going on. What has been done without minding, blindly, may add to one's karma destiny. Otherwise it hardly matters. The guru demands one thing only: clarity and intensity of purpose. A sense of responsibility for oneself. The very reality of the world must be questioned. Who is the guru? After all, he who knows the state in which there is neither the world nor the thought of it. He is the supreme teacher. To find him means to reach the state in which imagination is no longer taken for reality. Please understand that the guru stands for reality, for truth, for what is. He is a realist in the highest sense of the term. He cannot and shall not come to terms with the mind and its delusions. He comes to take you to the real. Don't expect him to do anything else. The guru you have in mind, one who gives you information and instructions, is not the real guru. The real guru is he who knows the real, beyond the glamour of appearances. To him your questions about obedience and discipline do not make sense, for in his eyes the person you take yourself to be does not exist. Your questions are about a non-existing person. What exists for you does not exist for him. What you take for granted, he denies absolutely. He wants you to see yourself as he sees you. Then you will not need a guru to obey and follow, for you will obey and follow your own reality. Realize that whatever you think yourself to be is just a stream of events, that while all happens, comes and goes, you alone are the changeless among the changeful, the self-evident among the inferred. Separate the observed from the observer and abandon false identifications. Q. In order to find the reality, one should discard all that stands in the way. On the other hand, the need to survive within a given society compels one to do and endure many things. Does one need to abandon one's profession and one's social standing in order to find reality? Do your work. When you have a moment free, look within. What is important is not to miss the opportunity when it presents itself. If you are earnest, you will use your leisure fully. That is enough. Q. In my search for the essential and discarding the unessential, is there any scope for creative living? For instance, I love painting. Will it help me if I give my leisure hours to painting? Whatever you may have to do, watch your mind. Also, you must have moments of complete inner peace and quiet. when your mind is absolutely still. If you miss it, you miss the entire thing. If you do not, the silence of the mind will dissolve and absorb all else. Your difficulty lies in your wanting reality and being afraid of it at the same time. You are afraid of it because you do not know it. The familiar things are known. You feel secure with them. The unknown is uncertain and therefore dangerous. But to know reality is to be in harmony with it. And in harmony there is no place for fear. An infant knows its body, but not the body-based distinctions. It is just conscious and happy. After all, that was the purpose for which it was born. The pleasure to be is the simplest form of self-love, which later grows into love of the self. Be like an infant with nothing standing between the body and the self. The constant noise of the psychic life is absent. In deep silence the self contemplates the body. It is like the white paper on which nothing is written yet. Be like that infant. Instead of trying to be this or that, be happy to be. You will be a fully awakened witness of the field of consciousness. But there should be no feelings and ideas to stand between you and the field. Q. To be content with mere being seems to be a most selfish way of passing time. M. A most worthy way of being selfish. By all means be selfish by foregoing everything but the self. When you love the self and nothing else, you go beyond the selfish and the unselfish. All distinctions lose their meaning. Love of one and love of all merge together in love. Pure and simple, addressed to none, denied to none. Stay in that love. Go deeper and deeper into it. Investigate yourself and love the investigation, and you will solve not only your own problems but also the problems of humanity. You will know what to do. Do not ask superficial questions. Apply yourself to fundamentals, to the very roots of your being. Q. Is there a way for me to speed up my self-realization? M. Of course there is. Q. Who will do this speeding up? Will you do it for me? M. Neither you will do it, nor me. It will just happen. Q. My very coming here has proved it. Is this speeding up due to holy company? When I left last time, I hoped to come back, and I did. Now I am desperate that so soon I have to leave for England. M. You are like a newly born child. It was there before but not conscious of its being. At its birth a world arose in it, and with it the consciousness of being. Now you have just to grow in consciousness. That is all. The child is the king of the world. When it grows up, it takes charge of its kingdom. Imagine that in its infancy it fell seriously ill and the physician cured it. Does it mean that the young king owes his kingdom to the physician? Only, perhaps as one of the contributing factors. There were so many others. All contributed. But the main factor, the most crucial, was the fact of being born the son of a king. Similarly, the guru may help, but the main thing that helps is to have reality within. It will assert itself. Your coming here definitely helped you. It is not the only thing that is going to help you. The main thing is your own being. Your very earnestness testifies to it. Q. Does my pursuing a vocation deny my earnestness? M. I told you already. As long as you allow yourself an abundance of moments of peace, you can safely practice your most honorable profession. These moments of inner quiet will burn out all obstacles without fail. Don't doubt its efficacy. Try it. Q. But I did try. M. Never faithfully. Never steadily. Otherwise you would not be asking such questions. You are asking because you are not sure of yourself. And you are not sure of yourself because you never paid attention to yourself, only to your experiences. Be interested in yourself beyond all experience. Be with yourself. Love yourself. The ultimate security is found only in self-knowledge. The main thing is earnestness. Be honest with yourself and nothing will betray you. Virtues and powers are mere tokens for children to play with. They are useful in the world, but do not take you out of it. To go beyond, you need alert mobility, quiet attention. Q. What then becomes of one's physical being? M. As long as you are healthy, you live on. Q. This life of inner immobility, will it not affect one's health? M. Your body is food transformed. As your food, gross and subtle, so will be your health. Q. And what happens to the sex instinct? How can it be controlled? M. Sex is an acquired habit. Go beyond. As long as your focus is on the body, you will remain in the clutches of food and sex, fear and death. Find yourself and be free. 48. Awareness is free. Questioner. I have just arrived from Sri Ramanashram. I have spent 7 months there. Maharaj, what practice were you following at the ashram? Q. As far as I could, I concentrated on the HUML. M. Which way were you doing it? Verbally? Q. In my free moments during the course of the day. Sometimes I was murmuring to myself HUML I am. HUML or. I did it mentally. Occasionally I would have some nice feeling, or get into moods of quiet happiness. On the whole I was trying to be quiet and receptive, rather than laboring for experiences. M. What were you actually experiencing when you were in the right mood? Q. A sense of inner stillness, peace and silence. M. Did you notice yourself becoming unconscious? Q. Yes. Occasionally and for a very short time. Otherwise I was just quiet, inwardly and outwardly. M. What kind of quiet was it? Something akin to deep sleep, yet conscious all the same. A sort of wakeful sleep? Q. Yes. Alertly asleep. Jagrad Sushupti. M. The main thing is to be free of negative emotions, desire, fear etc. The 6 enemies of the mind. Once the mind is free of them, the rest will come easily. Just as cloth kept in soap water will become clean, so will the mind get purified in the stream of pure feeling. When you sit quiet and watch yourself, all kinds of things may come to the surface. Do nothing about them. Don't react to them. As they have come so will they go, by themselves. All that matters is mindfulness. Total awareness of oneself, or rather, of one's mind. Q. By oneself do you mean the daily self? M. Yes. The person, which alone is objectively observable. The observer is beyond observation. What is observable is not the real self. Q. I can always observe the observer. In endless recession. M. You can observe the observation, but not the observer. You know you are the ultimate observer by direct insight, not by a logical process based on observation. You are what you are, but you know what you are not. The self is known as being. The not self is known as transient. But in reality all is in the mind. The observed, observation and observer are mental constructs. The self alone is. Q. Why does the mind create all these divisions? M. To divide and particularize is in the mind's very nature. There is no harm in dividing. But separation goes against fact. Things and people are different, but they are not separate. Nature is one, reality is one. There are opposites, but no opposition. Q. I find that by nature I am very active. Here I am advised to avoid activity. The more I try to remain inactive, the greater the urge to do something. This makes me not only active outwardly, but also struggling inwardly to be what by nature I am not. Is there a remedy against longing for work? M. There is a difference between work and mere activity. All nature works. Work is nature. Nature is work. On the other hand, activity is based on desire and fear, on longing to possess and enjoy, on fear of pain and annihilation. Work is by the whole for the whole. Activity is by oneself for oneself. Q. Is there a remedy against activity? M. Watch it, and it shall cease. Use every opportunity to remind yourself that you are in bondage, that whatever happens to you is due to the fact of your bodily existence. Desire, fear, trouble, joy. They cannot appear unless you are there to appear to. Yet, whatever happens, points to your existence as a perceiving center. Disregard the pointers and be aware of what they are pointing to. It is quite simple, but it needs be done. What matters is the persistence with which you keep on returning to yourself. Q. I do get into peculiar states of deep absorption into myself, but unpredictably and momentarily. I do not feel myself to be in control of such states. M. The body is a material thing and needs time to change. The mind is but a set of mental habits, of ways of thinking and feeling, and to change they must be brought to the surface and examined. This also takes time. Just resolve and persevere. The rest will take care of itself. Q. I seem to have a clear idea of what needs be done, but I find myself getting tired and oppressed and seeking human company and thus wasting time that should be given to solitude and meditation. M. Do what you feel like doing. Don't bully yourself. Violence will make you hard and rigid. Do not fight with what you take to be obstacles on your way. Just be interested in them. Watch them. Observe. Inquire. Let anything happen, good or bad. But don't let yourself be submerged by what happens. Q. What is the purpose in reminding oneself all the time that one is the watcher? M. The mind must learn that beyond the moving mind there is the background of awareness, which does not change. The mind must come to know the true self and respect it and cease covering it up, like the moon which obscures the sun during solar eclipse. Just realize that nothing observable or experienceable is you, or binds you. Take no notice of what is not yourself. Q. To do what you tell me I must be ceaselessly aware. M. To be aware is to be awake. Unaware means asleep. You are aware anyhow. You need not try to be. What you need is to be aware of being aware. Be aware deliberately and consciously. Broaden and deepen the field of awareness. You are always conscious of the mind, but you are not aware of yourself as being conscious. Q. As I can make out, you give distinct meanings to the words mind, consciousness, and awareness. M. Look at it this way. The mind produces thoughts ceaselessly, even when you do not look at them. When you know what is going on in your mind, you call it consciousness. This is your waking state. Your consciousness shifts from sensation to sensation, from perception to perception, from idea to idea, in endless succession. Then comes awareness, the direct insight into the whole of consciousness, the totality of the mind. The mind is like a river, flowing ceaselessly in the bed of the body. You identify yourself for a moment with some particular ripple and call it my thought. All you are conscious of is your mind. Awareness is the cognizance of consciousness as a whole. Q. Everybody is conscious, but not everybody is aware. M. Don't say, everybody is conscious. Say, there is consciousness, in which everything appears and disappears. Our minds are just waves on the ocean of consciousness. As waves they come and go. As ocean they are infinite and eternal. Know yourself as the ocean of being, the womb of all existence. These are all metaphors, of course. The reality is beyond description. You can know it only by being it. Q. Is the search for it worth the trouble? M. Without it all is trouble. If you want to live sanely, creatively and happily and have infinite riches to share, search for what you are. While the mind is centered in the body and consciousness is centered in the mind, awareness is free. The body has its urges and mind its pains and pleasures. Awareness is unattached and unshaken. It is lucid, silent, peaceful, alert and unafraid, without desire and fear. Meditate on it as your true being and try to be it in your daily life, and you shall realize it in its fullness. Mind is interested in what happens, while awareness is interested in the mind itself. The child is after the toy, but the mother watches the child, not the toy. By looking tirelessly, I became quite empty, and with that emptiness all came back to me except the mind. I find I have lost the mind irretrievably. Q. As you talked to us just now, are you unconscious? M. I am neither conscious nor unconscious. I am beyond the mind and its various states and conditions. Distinctions are created by the mind and apply to the mind only. I am pure consciousness itself, unbroken awareness of all that is. I am in a more real state than yours. I am undistracted by the distinctions and separations which constitute a person. As long as the body lasts, it has its needs like any other. But my mental process has come to an end. Q. You behave like a person who thinks. M. Why not? But my thinking, like my digestion, is unconscious and purposeful. Q. If your thinking is unconscious, how do you know that it is right? M. There is no desire, nor fear to thwart it. What can make it wrong? Once I know myself and what I stand for, I do not need to check on myself all the time. When you know that your watch shows correct time, you do not hesitate each time you consult it. Q. At this very moment who talks, if not the mind? M. That which hears the question, answers it. Q. But who is it? M. Not who, but what. I'm not a person in your sense of the word, though I may appear a person to you. I am that infinite ocean of consciousness in which all happens. I am also beyond all existence and cognition, pure bliss of being. There is nothing I feel separate from. Hence I am all. No thing is me. So I am nothing. The same power that makes the fire burn and the water flow, the seeds sprout and the trees grow, makes me answer your questions. There is nothing personal about me, though the language and the style may appear personal. A person is a set pattern of desires and thoughts and resulting actions. There is no such pattern in my case. There is nothing I desire or fear. How can there be a pattern? Q. Surely, you will die. M. Life will escape. The body will die, but it will not affect me in the least. Beyond space and time I am, uncaused, uncausing, yet the very matrix of existence. Q. May I be permitted to ask, how did you arrive at your present condition? M. My teacher told me to hold on to the sense I am tenaciously and not to swerve from it even for a moment. I did my best to follow his advice, and in a comparatively short time I realized within myself the truth of his teaching. All I did was to remember his teaching, his face, his words constantly. This brought an end to the mind. In the stillness of the mind I saw myself as I am, unbound. Q. Was your realization sudden or gradual? M. Neither. One is what one is timelessly. It is the mind that realizes us, and when it get cleared of desires and fears. Q. Even the desire for realization? M. The desire to put an end to all desires is a most peculiar desire. Just like the fear of being afraid is a most peculiar fear. One stops you from grabbing and the other from running. You may use the same words, but the states are not the same. The man who seeks realization is not addicted to desires. He is a seeker who goes against desire, not with it. A general longing for liberation is only the beginning. To find the proper means and use them is the next step. The seeker has only one goal in view: to find his own true being. Of all desires it is the most ambitious, for nothing and nobody can satisfy it. The seeker and the sought are one, and the search alone matters. Q. The search will come to an end. The seeker will remain. M. No. The seeker will dissolve. The search will remain. The search is the ultimate and timeless reality. Q. Search means lacking, wanting, incompleteness and imperfection. M. No. It means refusal and rejection of the incomplete and the imperfect. The search for reality is itself the movement of reality. In a way, all search is for the real bliss, or the bliss of the real. But here we mean by search the search for oneself as the root of being conscious, as the light beyond the mind. This search will never end, while the restless craving for all else must end. For real progress to take place, one has to understand that the search for reality, or God, or Guru, and the search for the self are the same. When one is found, all are found. When I am and God is become in your mind indistinguishable, then something will happen and you will know without a trace of doubt that God is because you are. You are because God is. The two are one. Q. Since all is preordained, is our self-realization also preordained? Or are we free there at least? M. Destiny refers only to name and shape. Since you are neither body nor mind, destiny has no control over you. You are completely free. The cup is conditioned by its shape, material, use and so on. But the space within the cup is free. It happens to be in the cup only when viewed in connection with the cup. Otherwise it is just space. As long as there is a body, you appear to be embodied. Without the body you are not disembodied. You just are. Even destiny is but an idea. Words can be put together in so many ways. Statements can differ, but do they make any change in the actual? There are so many theories devised for explaining things. All are plausible. None is true. When you drive a car, you are subjected to the laws of mechanics and chemistry. Step out of the car and you are under the laws of physiology and biochemistry. Q. What is meditation and what are its uses? M. As long as you are a beginner, certain formalized meditations or prayers may be good for you. But for a seeker for reality there is only one meditation: the rigorous refusal to harbor thoughts. To be free from thoughts is itself meditation. Q. How is it done? M. You begin by letting thoughts flow and watching them. The very observation slows down the mind till it stops altogether. Once the mind is quiet, keep it quiet. Don't get bored with peace. Be in it. Go deeper into it. Q. I heard of holding on to one thought in order to keep other thoughts away. But how to keep all thoughts away? The very idea is also a thought. M. Experiment anew. Don't go by past experience. Watch your thoughts and watch yourself watching the thoughts. The state of freedom from all thoughts will happen suddenly, and by the bliss of it you shall recognize it. Q. Are you not at all concerned about the state of the world? Look at the horrors in East Pakistan 1971. Now Bangladesh. Do they not touch you at all? I am reading newspapers. I know what is going on. But my reaction is not like yours. You are looking for a cure, while I am concerned with prevention. As long as there are causes, there must also be results. As long as people are bent on dividing and separating, as long as they are selfish and aggressive, such things will happen. If you want peace and harmony in the world, you must have peace and harmony in your hearts and minds. Such change cannot be imposed. It must come from within. Those who abhor war must get war out of their system. Without peaceful people, how can you have peace in the world? As long as people are as they are, the world must be as it is. I am doing my part in trying to help people to know themselves as the only cause of their own misery. In that sense, I am a useful man. But what I am in myself, what is my normal state, cannot be expressed in terms of social consciousness and usefulness. I may talk about it, use metaphors or parables, but I am acutely aware that it is just not so. Not that it cannot be experienced. It is experiencing itself. But it cannot be described in the terms of a mind that must separate and oppose in order to know. The world is like a sheet of paper on which something is typed. The reading and the meaning will vary with the reader, but the paper is the common factor, always present, rarely perceived. When the ribbon is removed, typing leaves no trace on the paper. So is my mind. The impressions keep on coming, but no trace is left. Q. Why do you sit here talking to people? What is your real motive? M. No motive. You say I must have a motive. I am not sitting here, nor talking. No need to search for motives. Don't confuse me with the body. I have no work to do, no duties to perform. That part of me which you may call God will look after the world. This world of yours, that so much needs looking after, lives and moves in your mind. Delve into it. You will find your answers there and there only. Where else do you expect them to come from? Outside your consciousness, does anything exist? Q. It may exist without my ever knowing it. M. What kind of existence would it be? Can being be divorced from knowing? All being, like all knowing, relates to you. A thing is because you know it to be either in your experience or in your being. Your body and your mind exist as long as you believe so. Cease to think that they are yours and they will just dissolve. By all means let your body and mind function, but do not let them limit you. If you notice imperfections, just keep on noticing. Your very giving attention to them will set your heart and mind and body right. Q. Can I cure myself of a serious illness by merely taking cognizance of it? M. Take cognizance of the whole of it, not only of the outer symptoms. All illness begins in the mind. Take care of the mind first, by tracing and eliminating all wrong ideas and emotions. Then live and work disregarding illness and think no more of it. With the removal of causes, the effect is bound to depart. Man becomes what he believes himself to be. Abandon all ideas about yourself and you will find yourself to be the pure witness. Beyond all that can happen to the body or the mind. Q. If I become anything I think myself to be, and I start thinking that I am the supreme reality, will not my supreme reality remain a mere idea? M. First reach that state and then ask the question. 49. Mind causes insecurity. Questioner. People come to you for advice. How do you know what to answer? Maharaj. As I hear the question, so do I hear the answer. Q. And how do you know that your answer is right? M. Once I know the true source of the answers, I need not doubt them. From a pure source only pure water will flow. I am not concerned with people's desires and fears. I am in tune with facts, not with opinions. Man takes his name and shape to be himself, while I take nothing to be myself. Were I to think myself to be a body known by its name, I would not have been able to answer your questions. Were I to take you to be a mere body, there would be no benefits to you from my answers. No true teacher indulges in opinions. He sees things as they are and shows them as they are. If you take people to be what they think themselves to be, you will only hurt them, as they hurt themselves so grievously all the time. But if you see them as they are in reality, it will do them enormous good. If they ask you what to do, what practices to adopt, which way of life to follow, answer, do nothing. Just be. In being all happens naturally. Q. It seems to me that in your talks you use the words naturally and accidentally indiscriminately. I feel there is a deep difference in the meaning of the two words. The natural is orderly, subject to law. One can trust nature. The accidental is chaotic, unexpected, unpredictable. One could plead that everything is natural, subject to nature's laws. To maintain that everything is accidental, without any cause, is surely an exaggeration. M. Would you like it better if I use the word spontaneous instead of accidental? Q. You may use the word spontaneous or natural as opposed to accidental. In the accidental there is the element of disorder, of chaos. An accident is always a breach of rules, an exception, a surprise. M. Is not life itself a stream of surprises? Q. There is harmony in nature. The accidental is a disturbance. M. You speak as a person, limited in time and space, reduced to the contents of a body and a mind. What you like, you call natural, and what you dislike, you call accidental. Q. I like the natural, and the law-abiding, the expected, and I fear the law-breaking, the disorderly, the unexpected, the meaningless. The accidental is always monstrous. There may be so-called lucky accidents, but they only prove the rule that in an accident-prone universe life would be impossible. M. I feel there is a misunderstanding. By accidental I mean something to which no known law applies. When I say everything is accidental, uncaused, I only mean that the causes and the laws according to which they operate are beyond our knowing, or even imagining. If you call what you take to be orderly, harmonious, predictable, to be natural, then what obeys higher laws and is moved by higher powers may be called spontaneous. Thus, we shall have two natural orders, the personal and predictable and the impersonal, or superpersonal, and unpredictable. Call it lower nature and higher nature and drop the word accidental. As you grow in knowledge and insight, the borderline between lower and higher nature keeps on receding, but the two remain until they are seen as one. For, in fact, everything is most wonderfully inexplicable. Q. Science explains a lot. M. Science deals with names and shapes, quantities and qualities, patterns and laws. It is all right in its own place. But life is to be lived. There is no time for analysis. The response must be instantaneous. Hence the importance of the spontaneous, the timeless. It is in the unknown that we live and move. The known is the past. Q. I can take my stand on what I feel I am. I am an individual, a person among persons. Some people are integrated and harmonized, and some are not. Some live effortlessly, respond spontaneously to every situation correctly, doing full justice to the need of the moment, while others fumble, err and generally make a nuisance of themselves. The harmonized people may be called natural, ruled by law, while the disintegrated are chaotic and subject to accidents. M. The very idea of chaos presupposes the sense of the orderly, the organic, the interrelated. Chaos and cosmos. Are they not two aspects of the same state? Q. But you seem to say that all is chaos, accidental, unpredictable. M. Yes, in the sense that not all the laws of being are known and not all events are predictable. The more you are able to understand, the more the universe becomes satisfactory, emotionally and mentally. Reality is good and beautiful. We create the chaos. Q. If you mean to say that it is the free will of man that causes accidents, I would agree. But we have not yet discussed free will. M. Your order is what gives you pleasure and disorder is what gives you pain. Q. You may put it that way, but do not tell me that the two are one. Talk to me in my own language, the language of an individual in search of happiness. I do not want to be misled by non-dualistic talks. M. What makes you believe that you are a separate individual? Q. I behave as an individual. I function on my own. I consider myself primarily, and others only in relation to myself. In short, I am busy with myself. M. Well, go on being busy with yourself. On what business have you come here? Q. On my old business of making myself safe and happy. I confess I have not been too successful. I am neither safe nor happy. Therefore, you find me here. This place is new to me, but my reason for coming here is old. The search for safe happiness. Happy safety. So far I did not find it. Can you help me? What was never lost can never be found. Your very search for safety and joy keeps you away from them. Stop searching. Cease losing. The disease is simple and the remedy equally simple. It is your mind only that makes you insecure and unhappy. Anticipation makes you insecure. Memory, unhappy. Stop misusing your mind and all will be well with you. You need not set it right. It will set itself right. As soon as you give up all concern with the past and the future and live entirely in the now. But the now has no dimension. I shall become a nobody, a nothing. Exactly. As nothing and nobody you are safe and happy. You can have the experience for the asking. Just try. But let us go back to what is accidental and what is spontaneous, or natural. You said nature is orderly while accident is a sign of chaos. I denied the difference and said that we call an event accidental when its causes are untraceable. There is no place for chaos in nature. Only in the mind of man there is chaos. The mind does not grasp the whole. Its focus is very narrow. It sees fragments only and fails to perceive the picture. Just as a man who hears sounds, but does not understand the language, may accuse the speaker of meaningless jabbering, and be altogether wrong. What to one is a chaotic stream of sounds is a beautiful poem to another. King Janaka once dreamt that he was a beggar. On waking up he asked his guru, Vasishta, am I a king dreaming of being a beggar, or a beggar dreaming of being a king? The guru answered, you are neither, you are both. You are. And yet you are not what you think yourself to be. You are because you behave accordingly. You are not because it does not last. Can you be a king or a beggar forever? All must change. You are what does not change. What are you? Janaka said, yes. I am neither king nor beggar. I am the dispassionate witness. The guru said, this is your last illusion that you are a jnani, that you are different from, and superior to, the common man. Again you identify yourself with your mind, in this case a well-behaved and in every way an exemplary mind. As long as you see the least difference, you are a stranger to reality. You are on the level of the mind. When the I am myself goes, the I am all comes. When the I am all goes, I am comes. When even I am goes, reality alone is, and in it every I am is preserved and glorified. Diversity without separateness is the ultimate that the mind can touch. Beyond that all activity ceases, because in it all goals are reached and all purposes fulfilled. Once the supreme state is reached, can it be shared with others? The supreme state is universal. Here and now, everybody already shares in it. It is the state of being, knowing and liking. Who does not like to be, or does not know his own existence? But we take no advantage of this joy of being conscious. We do not go into it and purify it of all that is foreign to it. This work of mental self-purification, the cleansing of the psyche, is essential. Just as a speck in the eye, by causing inflammation, may wipe out the world, So the mistaken idea, I am the body-mind, causes the self-concern, which obscures the universe. It is useless to fight the sense of being a limited and separate person unless the roots of it are laid bare. Selfishness is rooted in the mistaken ideas of oneself. Clarification of the mind is yoga. 50. Self-awareness is the witness. Questioner: you told me that I can be considered under three aspects: the personal vyakti, the superpersonal vyakta, and the impersonal avyakta. The avyakta is the universal and real pure I. The vyakta is its reflection in consciousness as I am. The vyakti is the totality of physical and vital processes. Within the narrow confines of the present moment, the superpersonal is aware of the person, both in space and time. Not only one person, but the long series of persons strung together on the thread of karma. It is essentially the witness as well as the residue of the accumulated experiences, the seat of memory, the connecting link, satratma. It is man's character which life builds and shapes from birth to birth. The universal is beyond all name and shape, beyond consciousness and character, pure unself-conscious being. Did I put down your views rightly, Maharaj? On the level of the mind, yes. Beyond the mental level, not a word applies. Q. I can understand that the person is a mental construct, a collective noun for a set of memories and habits. But he to whom the person happens, the witnessing center, is it mental too? M. The personal needs a base, a body to identify oneself with, just as a color needs a surface to appear on. The seeing of the color is independent of the color. It is the same whatever the color. One needs an eye to see a color. The colors are many. The eye is single. The personal is like the light in the color and also in the eye, yet simple, single, indivisible and unperceivable, except in its manifestations. Not unknowable, but unperceivable, unobjectival, inseparable, neither material nor mental, neither objective nor subjective. It is the root of matter and the source of consciousness. Beyond mere living and dying, it is the all-inclusive, all-exclusive life, in which birth is death and death is birth. Q. The absolute or life you talk about, is it real, or a mere theory to cover up our ignorance? M. Both. To the mind, a theory, in itself, a reality. It is reality in its spontaneous and total rejection of the false. Just as light destroys darkness by its very presence, so does the absolute destroy imagination. To see that all knowledge is a form of ignorance is itself a movement of reality. The witness is not a person. The person comes into being when there is a basis for it, an organism, a body. In it the absolute is reflected as awareness. Pure awareness becomes self-awareness. When there is a self, self-awareness is the witness. When there is no self to witness, there is no witnessing either. It is all very simple. It is the presence of the person that complicates. See that there is no such thing as a permanently separate person, and all becomes clear. Awareness, mind, matter, they are one reality in its two aspects as immovable and movable, and the three attributes of inertia, energy and harmony. Q. What comes first? Consciousness or awareness? M. Awareness becomes consciousness when it has an object. The object changes all the time. In consciousness there is movement. Awareness by itself is motionless and timeless. Here and now. Q. There is suffering and bloodshed in East Pakistan at the present moment. How do you look at it? How does it appear to you? How do you react to it? M. In pure consciousness nothing ever happens. Q. Please come down from these metaphysical heights. Of what use is it to a suffering man to be told that nobody is aware of his suffering but himself? To relegate everything to illusion is insult added to injury. The Bengali of East Pakistan is a fact and his suffering is a fact. Please, do not analyze them out of existence. You are reading newspapers. You hear people talking about it. You cannot plead ignorance. Now, what is your attitude to what is happening? M. No attitude. Nothing is happening. Q. Any day there may be a riot right in front of you. Perhaps people killing each other. Surely you cannot say, nothing is happening and remain aloof. M. I never talked of remaining aloof. You could as well see me jumping into the fray to save somebody and getting killed. Yet to me nothing happened. Imagine a big building collapsing. Some rooms are in ruins. Some are intact. But can you speak of the space as ruined or intact? It is only the structure that suffered and the people who happened to live in it. Nothing happened to space itself. Similarly, nothing happens to life when forms break down and names are wiped out. The goldsmith melts down old ornaments to make new. Sometimes a good piece goes with the bad. He takes it in his stride. For he knows that no gold is lost. Q. It is not death that I rebel against. It is the manner of dying. M. Death is natural. The manner of dying is man-made. Separateness causes fear and aggression, which again cause violence. Do away with man-made separations and all this horror of people killing each other will surely end. But in reality there is no killing and no dying. The real does not die. The unreal never lived. Set your mind right and all will be right. When you know that the world is one, that humanity is one, you will act accordingly. But first of all you must attend to the way you feel, think and live. Unless there is order in yourself, there can be no order in the world. In reality nothing happens. Onto the screen of the mind destiny forever projects its pictures. Memories of former projections and thus illusion constantly renews itself. The pictures come and go. Light intercepted by ignorance. See the light and disregard the picture. Q. What a callous way of looking at things. People are killing and getting killed and here you talk of pictures. M. By all means go and get killed yourself, if that is what you think you should do. Or even go and kill, if you take it to be your duty. But that is not the way to end the evil. Evil is the stench of a mind that is diseased. Heal your mind and it will cease to project distorted, ugly pictures. Q. What you say I understand, but emotionally I cannot accept it. This merely idealistic view of life repels me deeply. I just cannot think myself to be permanently in a state of dream. How can anybody be permanently in a state caused by an impermanent body? The misunderstanding is based on your idea that you are the body. Examine the idea. See its inherent contradictions. Realize that your present existence is like a shower of sparks, each spark lasting a second and the shower itself a minute or two. Surely a thing of which the beginning is the end can have no middle. Respect your terms. Reality cannot be momentary. It is timeless. But timelessness is not duration. Q. I admit that the world in which I live is not the real world. But there is a real world, of which I see a distorted picture. The distortion may be due to some blemish in my body or mind. But when you say there is no real world, only a dream world in my mind, I just cannot take it. I wish I could believe that all horrors of existence are due to my having a body. Suicide would be the way out. As long as you pay attention to ideas, your own or of others, you will be in trouble. But if you disregard all teachings, all books, anything out into words and dive deeply within yourself and find yourself, this alone will solve all your problems and leave you in full mastery of every situation. Because you will not be dominated by your ideas about the situation. Take an example. You are in the company of an attractive woman. You get ideas about her and this creates a sexual situation. A problem is created and you start looking for books on continence or enjoyment. Were you a baby, both of you could be naked and together without any problem arising. Just stop thinking you are the bodies and the problems of love and sex will lose their meaning. With all sense of limitation gone, fear, pain and the search for pleasure all cease. Only awareness remains. 51. Be indifferent to pain and pleasure. Questioner. I am a Frenchman by birth and domicile, and since about 10 years I have been practicing yoga. Maharaj. After 10 years of work, are you anywhere nearer your goal? Q. I little nearer, maybe. It is hard work, you know. The self is near and the way to it is easy. All you need doing is doing nothing. Q. Yet I found my sadhana very difficult. Your sadhana is to be. The doing happens. Just be watchful. Where is the difficulty in remembering that you are? You are all the time. Q. The sense of being is there all the time. No doubt. But the field of attention is often overrun by all sorts of mental events, emotions, images, ideas. The pure sense of being is usually crowded out. What is your procedure for clearing the mind of the unnecessary? What are your means, your tools for the purification of the mind? Q. Basically, man is afraid. He is afraid of himself most. I feel I am like a man who is carrying a bomb that is going to explode. He cannot defuse it. He cannot throw it away. He is terribly frightened and is searching frantically for a solution, which he cannot find. To me, liberation is getting rid of this bomb. I do not know much about the bomb. I only know that it comes from early childhood. I feel like the frightened child protesting passionately against not being loved. The child is craving for love, and because he does not get it, he is afraid and angry. Sometimes I feel like killing somebody or myself. This desire is so strong that I am constantly afraid. And I do not know how to get free from fear. You see, there is a difference between a Hindu mind and a European mind. The Hindu mind is comparatively simple. The European is a much more complex being. The Hindu is basically sattvic. He does not understand the European's restlessness. His tireless pursuit of what he thinks needs be done. His greater general knowledge. His reasoning capacity is so great that he will reason himself out of all reason. His self-assertiveness is due to his reliance on logic. But thinking. Reasoning is the mind's normal state. The mind just cannot stop working. It may be the habitual state, but it need not be the normal state. A normal state cannot be painful, while a habit often leads to chronic pain. If it is not the natural or normal state of mind, then how to stop it? There must be a way to quieten the mind. How often I tell myself, enough. Please stop. Enough of this endless chatter of sentences repeated round and round. But my mind would not stop. I feel that one can stop it for a while, but not for long. Even the so-called spiritual people use tricks to keep their mind quiet. They repeat formulas. They sing, pray, breathe forcibly or gently, shake, rotate, concentrate, meditate, chase trances, cultivate virtues, working all the time, in order to cease working. Cease chasing. Cease moving. Were it not so tragic, it would be ridiculous. The mind exists in two states, as water and as honey. The water vibrates at the least disturbance, while the honey, however disturbed, returns quickly to immobility. By its very nature, the mind is restless. It can perhaps be made quiet, but it is not quiet by itself. You may have a chronic fever and shiver all the time. It is desires and fears that make the mind restless. Free from all negative emotions, it is quiet. You cannot protect the child from negative emotions. As soon as it is born, it learns pain and fear. Hunger is a cruel master and teaches dependence and hate. The child loves the mother because she feeds it and hates her because she is late with food. Our unconscious mind is full of conflicts, which overflow into the conscious. We live on a volcano. We are always in danger. I agree that the company of people whose mind is peaceful has a very soothing effect, but as soon as I am away from them, the old trouble starts. This is why I come periodically to India to seek the company of my guru. You think you are coming and going, passing through various states and moods. I see things as they are, momentary events, presenting themselves to me in rapid succession, deriving their being from me, yet definitely neither me nor mine. Among phenomena I am not one, nor subject to any. I am independent so simply and totally, that your mind, accustomed to opposition and denial, cannot grasp it. I mean literally what I say. I do not need oppose or deny, because it is clear to me that I cannot be the opposite or denial of anything. I am just beyond, in a different dimension altogether. Do not look for me in identification with, or opposition to something. I am where desire and fear are not. Now, what is your experience? Do you also feel that you stand totally aloof from all transient things? Q. Yes, I do. Occasionally. But at once a sense of danger sets in. I feel isolated, outside all relationship with others. You see, here lies the difference in our mentalities. With the Hindu, the emotion follows the thought. Give a Hindu an idea and his emotions are aroused. With the Westerner it is the opposite. Give him an emotion and he will produce an idea. Your ideas are very attractive, intellectually, but emotionally I do not respond. Set your intellect aside. Don't use it in these matters. Q. Of what use is an advice which I cannot carry out? These are all ideas and you want me to respond feelingly to ideas. For without feelings there can be no action. Why do you talk of action? Are you acting ever? Some unknown power acts and you imagine that you are acting. You are merely watching what happens, without being able to influence it in any way. Q. Why is there such a tremendous resistance in me against accepting that I just can do nothing? But what can you do? You are like a patient under anesthetics on whom a surgeon performs an operation. When you wake up you find the operation over. Can you say you have done something? Q. But it is me who has chosen to submit to an operation. Certainly not. It is your illness on one side and the pressure of your physician and family on the other that have made you decide. You have no choice, only the illusion of it. Q. Yet I feel I am not as helpless as you make me appear. I feel I can do everything I can think of, only I do not know how. It is not the power I lack, but the knowledge. Not knowing the means is admittedly as bad as not having the power. But let us drop the subject for the moment. After all, it is not important why we feel helpless, as long as we see clearly that for the time being we are helpless. I am now 74 years old, and yet I feel that I am an infant. I feel clearly that in spite of all the changes I am a child. My guru told me, that child, which is you even now, is your real self, Swarupa. Go back to that state of pure being, where the I am is still in its purity before it got contaminated with this I am or that I am. Your burden is of false self-identifications. Abandon them all. My guru told me. Trust me, I tell you. You are divine. Take it as the absolute truth. Your joy is divine. Your suffering is divine too. All comes from God. Remember it always. You are God. Your will alone is done. I did believe him and soon realized how wonderfully true and accurate were his words. I did not condition my mind by thinking, I am God. I am wonderful. I am beyond. I simply followed his instruction, which was to focus the mind on pure being I am, and stay in it. I used to sit for hours together, with nothing but the I am in my mind, and soon peace and joy and a deep all-embracing love became my normal state. In it all disappeared. Myself, my guru, the life I lived, the world around me. Only peace remained and unfathomable silence. Q. It all looks very simple and easy, but it is just not so. Sometimes the wonderful state of joyful peace dawns on me and I look and wonder how easily it comes and how intimate it seems. How totally my own. Where was the need to strive so hard for a state so near at hand? This time, surely, it has come to stay. Yet how soon it all dissolves and leaves me wondering, was it a taste of reality or another aberration? If it was reality, why did it go? Maybe some unique experiences needed to fix me for good in the new state, and until the crucial experience comes, this game of hide and seek must continue. Your expectation of something unique and dramatic, of some wonderful explosion, is merely hindering and delaying your self-realization. You are not to expect an explosion, for the explosion has already happened. At the moment when you were born, when you realized yourself as being knowing feeling, there is only one mistake you are making. You take the inner for the outer and the outer for the inner. What is in you, you take to be outside you, and what is outside, you take to be in you. The mind and feelings are external, but you take them to be intimate. You believe the world to be objective, while it is entirely a projection of your psyche. That is the basic confusion, and no new explosion will set it right. You have to think yourself out of it. There is no other way. Q. How am I to think myself out when my thoughts come and go as they like? Their endless chatter distracts and exhausts me. Watch your thoughts as you watch the street traffic. People come and go. You register without response. It may not be easy in the beginning, but with some practice you will find that your mind can function on many levels at the same time, and you can be aware of them all. It is only when you have a vested interest in any particular level that your attention gets caught in it and you black out on other levels. Even then the work on the blacked out levels goes on, outside the field of consciousness. Do not struggle with your memories and thoughts. Try only to include in your field of attention the other, more important questions, like who am I, how did I happen to be born, whence this universe around me, what is real and what is momentary. No memory will persist. If you lose interest in it, it is the emotional link that perpetuates the bondage. You are always seeking pleasure, avoiding pain, always after happiness and peace. Don't you see that it is your very search for happiness that makes you feel miserable? Try the other way. Indifferent to pain and pleasure. Neither asking nor refusing. Give all your attention to the level on which I am as timelessly present. Soon you will realize that peace and happiness are in your very nature, and it is only seeking them through some particular channels that disturbs. Avoid the disturbance. That is all. To seek there is no need. You would not seek what you already have. You yourself are God, the supreme reality. To begin with, trust me. Trust the teacher. It enables you to make the first step, and then your trust is justified by your own experience. In every walk of life, initial trust is essential. Without it, little can be done. Every undertaking is an act of faith. Even your daily bread you eat on trust. By remembering what I told you, you will achieve everything. I am telling you again. You are the all-pervading, all-transcending reality. Behave accordingly. Think, feel and act in harmony with the whole, and the actual experience of what I say will dawn upon you in no time. No effort is needed. Have faith and act on it. Please see that I want nothing from you. It is in your own interest that I'll speak, because above all you love yourself. You want yourself secure and happy. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't deny it. It is natural and good to love oneself. Only you should know what exactly do you love. It is not the body that you love. It is life, perceiving, feeling, thinking, doing, loving, striving, creating. It is that life you love, which is you, which is all. Realize it in its totality, beyond all divisions and limitations, and all your desires will merge in it, for the greater contains the smaller. Therefore find yourself, for in finding that you find all. Everybody is glad to be, but few know the fullness of it. You come to know by dwelling in your mind on I am, I know, I love, with the will of reaching the deepest meaning of these words. Q. Can I think I am God? M. Don't identify yourself with an idea. If you mean by God the unknown, then you merely say, I do not know what I am. If you know God as you know yourself, you need not say it. Best is the simple feeling I am. Dwell on it patiently. Here patience is wisdom. Don't think of failure. There can be no failure in this undertaking. Q. My thoughts will not let me. M. Pay no attention. Don't fight them. Just do nothing about them. Let them be. Whatever they are. Your very fighting them gives them life. Just disregard. Look through. Remember to remember. Whatever happens, happens because I am. All reminds you that you are. Take full advantage of the fact that to experience you must be. You need not stop thinking. Just cease being interested. It is disinterestedness that liberates. Don't hold on. That is all. The world is made of rings. The hooks are all yours. Make straight your hooks and nothing can hold you. Give up your addictions. There is nothing else to give up. Stop your routine of acquisitiveness. Your habit of looking for results and the freedom of the universe is yours. Be effortless. Q. Life is effort. There are so many things to do. M. What needs doing? Do it. Don't resist. Your balance must be dynamic, based on doing just the right thing, from moment to moment. Don't be a child unwilling to grow up. Stereotyped gestures and postures will not help you. Rely entirely on your clarity of thought, purity of motive and integrity of action. You cannot possibly go wrong. Go beyond and leave all behind. Q. But can anything be left for good? M. You want something like around-the-clock ecstasy. Ecstasies come and go, necessarily, for the human brain cannot stand the tension for a long time. A prolonged ecstasy will burn out your brain, unless it is extremely pure and subtle. In nature nothing is at standstill. Everything pulsates, appears and disappears. Heart, breath, digestion, sleep and waking, birth and death, everything comes and goes in waves. Rhythm, periodicity, harmonious alternation of extremes is the rule. No use rebelling against the very pattern of life. If you seek the immutable, go beyond experience. When I say, remember I am all the time, I mean, come back to it repeatedly. No particular thought can be mind's natural state, only silence. Not the idea of silence, but silence itself. When the mind is in its natural state, it reverts to silence spontaneously after every experience, or, rather, every experience happens against the background of silence. Now, what you have learnt here becomes the seed. You may forget it, apparently, but it will live and in due season sprout and grow and bring forth flowers and fruits. All will happen by itself. You need not do anything. Only don't prevent it. 52. Being happy. Making happy is the rhythm of life. Questioner: I came from Europe a few months ago on one of my periodical visits to my guru near Calcutta. Now I am on my way back home. I was invited by a friend to meet you and I am glad I came. Maharaj, what did you learn from your guru and what practice did you follow? Q. He is a venerable old man of about 80. Philosophically he is a Vedantin and the practice he teaches has much to do with rousing the unconscious energies of the mind and bringing the hidden obstacles and blockages into the conscious. My personal sadhana was related to my peculiar problem of early infancy and childhood. My mother could not give me the feeling of being secure and loved, so important to the child's normal development. She was a woman not fit to be a mother, ridden with anxieties and neuroses, unsure of herself. She felt me to be a responsibility and a burden beyond her capacity to bear. She never wanted me to be born. She did not want me to grow and to develop. She wanted me back in her womb, unborn, non-existent. Any movement of life in me she resisted, any attempt to go beyond the narrow circle of her habitual existence she fought fiercely. As a child I was both sensitive and affectionate. I craved for love above everything else and love, the simple, Instinctive love of a mother for her child was denied me. The child's search for its mother became the leading motive of my life, and I never grew out of it. A happy child. A happy childhood became an obsession with me. Pregnancy, birth, infancy interested me passionately. I became an obstetrician of some renown and contributed to the development of the method of painless childbirth. A happy child of a happy mother, that was my ideal all my life. But my mother was always there, unhappy herself, unwilling and incapable to see me happy. It manifested itself in strange ways. Whenever I was unwell, she felt better. When I was in good shape, she was down again, cursing herself and me too, as if she never forgave me my crime of having been born. She made me feel guilty of being alive. You live because you hate me. If you love me, die, was her constant, though silent message. And so I spent my life, being offered death instead of love, imprisoned, as I was, in my mother, the perennial infant. I could not develop a meaningful relation with a woman. The image of the mother would stand between. Unforgiving, unforgiven. I sought solace in my work and found much, but I could not move from the pit of infancy. Finally, I turned to spiritual search, and I am on this line steadily for many years. But, in a way, it is the same old search for mother's love, call it God or Atma or Supreme Reality. Basically, I want to love and be loved. Unfortunately, the so-called religious people are against life and all for the mind. When faced with life's needs and urges, they begin by classifying, abstracting and conceptualizing, and then make the classification more important than life itself. They ask to concentrate on and impersonate a concept. Instead of the spontaneous integration through love, they recommend a deliberate and laborious concentration on a formula. Whether it is God or Atma, the me or the other, it comes to the same. Something to think about, not somebody to love. It is not theories and systems that I need. There are many equally attractive or plausible. I need a stirring of the heart, a renewal of life, and not a new way of thinking. There are no new ways of thinking, but feelings can be ever fresh. When I love somebody, I meditate on him spontaneously and powerfully, with warmth and vigor, which my mind cannot command. Words are good for shaping feelings. Words without feeling are like clothes with no body inside, cold and limp. This mother of mine, she drained me of all feelings. My sources have run dry. Can I find here the richness and abundance of emotions, which I needed in such ample measure as a child? Where is your childhood now? And what is your future? Q. I was born. I have grown. I shall die. You mean your body, of course. And your mind. I am not talking of your physiology and psychology. They are a part of nature and are governed by nature's laws. I am talking of your search for love. Had it a beginning? Will it have an end? Q. I really cannot say. It is there, from the earliest to the last moment of my life. This yearning for love How constant and how hopeless. M. In your search for love, what exactly are you searching for? Q. Simply this. To love and to be loved. M. You mean a woman? Q. Not necessarily. A friend. A teacher. A guide. As long as the feeling is bright and clear. Of course, a woman is the usual answer. But it need not be the only one. M. Of the two, what would you prefer? To love or to be loved? Q. I would rather have both. But I can see that to love is greater, nobler, deeper. To be loved is sweet, but it does not make one grow. M. Can you love on your own? Or must you be made to love? Q. One must meet somebody lovable. Of course. My mother was not only not loving, she was also not lovable. M. What makes a person lovable? Is it not the being loved? First you love and then you look for reasons. Q. It can be the other way round. You love what makes you happy. M. But what makes you happy? Q. There is no rule about it. The entire subject is highly individual and unpredictable. M. Right. Whichever way you put it. Unless you love, there is no happiness. But, does love make you always happy? Is not the association of love with happiness a rather early, infantile stage? When the beloved suffers, don't you suffer too? And do you cease to love, because you suffer? Must love and happiness come and go together? Is love merely the expectation of pleasure? Q. Of course not. There can be much suffering in love. M. Then what is love? Is it not a state of being rather than a state of mind? Must you know that you love in order to love? Did you not love your mother unknowingly? Your craving for her love? For an opportunity to love her. Is it not the movement of love? Is not love as much a part of you as consciousness of being? You sought the love of your mother because you loved her. Q. But she would not let me. M. She could not stop you. Q. Then, why was I unhappy all my life? M. Because you did not go down to the very roots of your being. It is your complete ignorance of yourself that covered up your love and happiness and made you seek for what you had never lost. Love is will, the will to share your happiness with all. Being happy, making happy. This is the rhythm of love. 53. Desires fulfilled breed more desires. Questioner. I must confess I came today in a rebellious mood. I got a raw deal at the airline's office. When faced with such situations, everything seems doubtful. Everything seems useless. Maharaj, this is a very useful mood. Doubting all, refusing all, unwilling to learn through another. It is the fruit of your long sadhana. After all, one does not study forever. Q. Enough of it. It took me nowhere. M. Don't say nowhere. It took you where you are now. Q. It is again the child and its tantrums. I have not moved an inch from where I was. M. You began as a child and you will end as a child. Whatever you have acquired in the meantime you must lose and start at the beginning. Q. But the child kicks. When it is unhappy or denied anything, it kicks. Let it kick. Just look at the kicking. And if you are too afraid of the society to kick convincingly, look at that too. I know it is a painful business, but there is no remedy, except one. The search for remedies must cease. If you are angry or in pain, separate yourself from anger and pain and watch them. Externalization is the first step to liberation. Step away and look. The physical events will go on happening, but by themselves they have no importance. It is the mind alone that matters. Whatever happens, you cannot kick and scream in an airline office or in a bank. Society does not allow it. If you do not like their ways, or are not prepared to endure them, don't fly or carry money. Walk, and if you cannot walk, don't travel. If you deal with society, you must accept its ways, for its ways are your ways. Your needs and demands have created them. Your desires are so complex and contradictory. No wonder the society you create is also complex and contradictory. I do see and admit that the outer chaos is merely a reflection of my own inner disharmony. But what is the remedy? Don't seek remedies. Sometimes one is in a state of grace and life is happy and harmonious. But such a state does not last. The mood changes and all goes wrong. If you could only keep quiet, clear of memories and expectations, you would be able to discern the beautiful pattern of events. It is your restlessness that causes chaos. For full 3 hours that I spent in the airline office, I was practicing patience and forbearance. It did not speed up matters. At least it did not slow them down, as your kicking would have surely done. You want immediate results. We do not dispense magic here. Everybody does the same mistake. Refusing the means, but wanting the ends. You want peace and harmony in the world, but refuse to have them in yourself. Follow my advice implicitly and you will not be disappointed. I cannot solve your problem by mere words. You have to act on what I told you and persevere. It is not the right advice that liberates, but the action based on it. Just like a doctor, after giving the patient an injection, tells him, "Now, keep quiet. Do nothing more. Just keep quiet. I am telling you, you have got your injection. Now keep quiet. Just keep quiet. You have nothing else to do." My guru did the same. He would tell me something and then said, "Now keep quiet. Don't go on ruminating all the time. Stop. Be silent." I can keep quiet for an hour in the morning, but the day is long and many things happen that throw me out of balance. It is easy to say be silent, but to be silent when all is screaming in me and around me. Please tell me how it is done. All that needs doing can be done in peace and silence. There is no need to get upset. It is all theory which does not fit the facts. I am returning to Europe with nothing to do there. My life is completely empty. If you just try to keep quiet, all will come. The work, the strength for work, the right motive. Must you know everything beforehand? Don't be anxious about your future. Be quiet now and all will fall in place. The unexpected is bound to happen, while the anticipated may never come. Don't tell me you cannot control your nature. You need not control it. Throw it overboard. Have no nature to fight, or to submit to. No experience will hurt you, provided you don't make it into a habit. Of the entire universe you are the subtle cause. All is because you are. Grasp this point firmly and deeply and dwell on it repeatedly. To realize this as absolutely true is liberation. Q. If I am the seed of my universe, then a rotten seed I am. By the fruit the seed is known. M. What is wrong with your world that you swear at it? Q. It is full of pain. M. Nature is neither pleasant nor painful. It is all intelligence and beauty. Pain and pleasure are in the mind. Change your scale of values and all will change. Pleasure and pain are mere disturbances of the senses. Treat them equally and there will be only bliss. And the world is what you make it. By all means make it happy. Only contentment can make you happy. Desires fulfilled breed more desires. Keeping away from all desires and contentment in what comes by itself is a very fruitful state, a precondition to the state of fullness. Don't distrust its apparent sterility and emptiness. Believe me, it is the satisfaction of desires that breeds misery. Freedom from desires is bliss. Q. There are things we need. M. What you need will come to you. If you do not ask for what you do not need. Yet only few people reach this state of complete dispassion and detachment. It is a very high state. The very threshold of liberation. Q. I have been barren for the last 2 years. Desolate and empty, and often was I praying for death to come. M. Well, with your coming here events have started rolling. Let things happen as they happen. They will sort themselves out nicely in the end. You need not strain towards the future. The future will come to you on its own. For some time longer you will remain sleepwalking, as you do now, bereft of meaning and assurance. But this period will end and you will find your work both fruitful and easy. There are always moments when one feels empty and estranged. Such moments are most desirable, for it means the soul had cast its moorings and is sailing for distant places. This is detachment, when the old is over and the new has not yet come. If you are afraid, the state may be distressing, but there is really nothing to be afraid of. Remember the instruction. Whatever you come across, go beyond. Q. The Buddha's rule. To remember what needs to be remembered. But I find it so difficult to remember the right thing at the right moment. With me, forgetting seems to be the rule. M. It is not easy to remember when every situation brings up a storm of desires and fears. Craving born of memory is also the destroyer of memory. Q. How am I to fight desire? There is nothing stronger. M. The waters of life are thundering over the rocks of objects, desirable or hateful. Remove the rocks by insight and detachment, and the same waters will flow deep and silent and swift, in greater volume and with greater power. Don't be theoretical about it. Give time to thought and consideration. If you desire to be free, neglect not the nearest step to freedom. It is like climbing a mountain. Not a step can be missed. One step less, and the summit is not reached. 54. Body and mind are symptoms of ignorance. Questioner: we were discussing one day the person, the witness, the absolute, vyakti vyaktara vyakta. As far as I remember, you said that the absolute alone is real and the witness is absolute only at a given point of space and time. The person is the organism, gross and subtle, illumined by the presence of the witness. I do not seem to grasp the matter clearly. Could we discuss it again? You also use the terms Mahadakash, Chitakash and Paramakash. How are they related to person, witness, and the absolute? Maharaj, Mahadakash is nature, the ocean of existences, the physical space with all that can be contacted through the senses. Chitakash is the expanse of awareness, the mental space of time, perception and cognition. Paramakash is the timeless and spaceless reality, mindless, undifferentiated, the infinite potentiality, the source and origin, the substance and the essence, both matter and consciousness, yet beyond both. It cannot be perceived, but can be experienced as ever witnessing the witness, perceiving the perceiver, the origin and the end of all manifestation, the root of time and space, the prime cause in every chain of causation. Q. What is the difference between Vyakta and Avyakta? M. There is no difference. It is like light and daylight. The universe is full of light which you do not see. But the same light you see is daylight. And what the daylight reveals is the Vyakti. The person is always the object. The witness is the subject, and their relation of mutual dependence is the reflection of their absolute identity. You imagine that they are distinct and separate states. They are not. They are the same consciousness at rest and in movement, each state conscious of the other. In Chit man knows God and God knows man. In Chit the man shapes the world and the world shapes man. Chit is the link, the bridge between extremes, the balancing and uniting factor in every experience. The totality of the perceived is what you call matter. The totality of all perceivers is what you call the universal mind. The identity of the two, manifesting itself as perceptibility and perceiving, harmony and intelligence, loveliness and loving, reasserts itself eternally. Q. The three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, are they only in matter, or also in the mind? M. In both. Of course, because the two are not separate. It is only the absolute that is beyond gunas. In fact, these are but points of view, ways of looking. They exist only in the mind. Beyond the mind all distinctions cease. Q. Is the universe a product of the senses? M. Just as you recreate your world on waking up, so is the universe unrolled. The mind with its 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, and 5 vehicles of consciousness appears as memory, thought, reason and selfhood. Q. The sciences have made much progress. We know the body and the mind much better than our ancestors. Your traditional way, describing and analyzing mind and matter, is no longer valid. But where are your scientists with their sciences? Are they not again images in your own mind? Q. Here lies the basic difference. To me they are not my own projections. They were before I was born and shall be there when I am dead. Of course. Once you accept time and space as real, you will consider yourself minute and short-lived. But are they real? Do they depend on you? Or you on them? As body, you are in space. As mind, you are in time. But are you mere body with a mind in it? Have you ever investigated? Q. I had neither the motive nor the method. I am suggesting both. But the actual work of insight and detachment, viveka, virajaya, is yours. Q. The only motive I can perceive is my own causeless and timeless happiness. And what is the method? Happiness is incidental. The true and effective motive is love. You see people suffer and you seek the best way of helping them. The answer is obvious. First put yourself beyond the need of help. Be sure your attitude is of pure goodwill, free of expectation of any kind. Those who seek mere happiness may end up in sublime indifference, while love will never rest. As to method, there is only one. You must come to know yourself, both what you appear to be and what you are. Clarity and charity go together. Each needs and strengthens the other. Q. Compassion implies the existence of an objective world, full of avoidable sorrow. The world is not objective and the sorrow of it is not avoidable. Compassion is but another word for the refusal to suffer for imaginary reasons. Q. If the reasons are imaginary, why should the suffering be inevitable? It is always the false that makes you suffer. The false desires and fears, the false values and ideas, the false relationships between people. Abandon the false and you are free of pain. Truth makes happy. Truth liberates. Q. The truth is that I am a mind imprisoned in a body and this is a very unhappy truth. You are neither the body nor in the body. There is no such thing as body. You have grievously misunderstood yourself. To understand rightly, investigate. Q. But I was born as a body, in a body and shall die with the body, as a body. This is your misconception. Inquire. Investigate. Doubt yourself and others. To find truth, you must not cling to your convictions. If you are sure of the immediate, you will never reach the ultimate. Your idea that you were born and that you will die is absurd. Both logic and experience contradict it. Q. All right. I shall not insist that I am the body. You have a point here. But here and now, as I talk to you, I am in my body obviously. The body may not be me, but it is mine. The entire universe contributes incessantly to your existence. Hence the entire universe is your body. In that sense, I agree. Q. My body influences me deeply. In more than one way my body is my destiny, my character, my moods, the nature of my reactions, my desires and fears, inborn or acquired. They are all based on the body. A little alcohol, some drug or other and all changes. Until the drug wears off I become another man. All this happens because you think yourself to be the body, realize your real self, and even drugs will have no power over you. Q. You smoke. My body kept a few habits which may as well continue till it dies. There is no harm in them. Q. You eat meat. I was born among meat-eating people and my children are eating meat. I eat very little, and make no fuss. Q. Meat eating implies killing. Obviously. I make no claims of consistency. You think absolute consistency is possible? Prove it by example. Don't preach what you do not practice. Coming back to the idea of having been born, you are stuck with what your parents told you. All about conception, pregnancy and birth, infant, child, youngster, teenager, and so on. Now, divest yourself of the idea that you are the body with the help of the contrary idea that you are not the body. It is also an idea, no doubt. Treat it like something to be abandoned when its work is done. The idea that I am not the body gives reality to the body, when in fact, there is no such thing as body. It is but a state of mind. You can have as many bodies and as diverse as you like. Just remember steadily what you want and reject the incompatibles. Q. I am like a box within box. Within box. The outer box acting as the body and the one next to it, as the indwelling soul. Abstract the outer box and the next becomes the body and the one next to it the soul. It is an infinite series, an endless opening of boxes. Is the last one the ultimate soul? If you have a body, you must have a soul. Here your simile of a nest of boxes applies. But here and now, through all your bodies and souls shines awareness, the pure light of Chit. Hold on to it unswervingly. Without awareness, the body would not last a second. There is in the body a current of energy, affection and intelligence, which guides, maintains and energizes the body. Discover that current and stay with it. Of course, all these are manners of speaking. Words are as much a barrier as a bridge. Find the spark of life that weaves the tissues of your body and be with it. It is the only reality the body has. Q. What happens to that spark of life after death? It is beyond time. Birth and death are but points in time. Life weaves eternally its many webs. The weaving is in time, but life itself is timeless. Whatever name and shape you give to its expressions, it is like the ocean, never changing, ever changing. Q. All you say sounds beautifully convincing, yet my feeling of being just a person in a world strange and alien, often inimical and dangerous, does not cease. Being a person, limited in space and time, how can I possibly realize myself as the opposite, a depersonalized, universalized awareness of nothing in particular? You assert yourself to be what you are not and deny yourself to be what you are. You omit the element of pure cognition, of awareness free from all personal distortions. Unless you admit the reality of chit, you will never know yourself. Q. What am I to do? I do not see myself as you see me. Maybe you are right and I am wrong. But how can I cease to be what I feel I am? A prince who believes himself to be a beggar can be convinced conclusively in one way only. He must behave as a prince and see what happens. Behave as if what I say is true and judge by what actually happens. All I ask is the little faith needed for making the first step. With experience will come confidence and you will not need me anymore. I know what you are and I am telling you. Trust me for a while. Q. To be here and now, I need my body and its senses. To understand, I need a mind. The body and the mind are only symptoms of ignorance, of misapprehension. Behave as if you were pure awareness, bodiless and mindless, spaceless and timeless, beyond where and when and how. Dwell on it, think of it, learn to accept its reality. Don't oppose it and deny it all the time. Keep an open mind at least. Yoga is bending the outer to the inner. Make your mind and body express the real which is all and beyond all. By doing you succeed, not by arguing. Q. Kindly allow me to come back to my first question. How does the error of being a person originate? The absolute precedes time. Awareness comes first. A bundle of memories and mental habits attracts attention. Awareness gets focalized and a person suddenly appears. Remove the light of awareness. Go to sleep or swoon away, and the person disappears. The person, Vyakti, flickers. Awareness Vyakta contains all space and time. The absolute, Avyakta, is 55. Give up all and you gain all. Questioner, what is your state at the present moment? Maharaj, a state of non-experiencing. In it all experience is included. Q. Can you enter into the mind and heart of another man and share his experience? Number. Such things require special training. I am like a dealer in wheat. I know little about breads and cakes. Even the taste of a wheat gruel I may not know. But about the wheat grain I know all and well. I know the source of all experience, but the innumerable particular forms experience can take I do not know, nor do I need to know. From moment to moment, the little I need to know to live my life, I somehow happen to know. Q. Your particular existence and my particular existence. Do they both exist in the mind of Brahma? The universal is not aware of the particular. The existence as a person is a personal matter. A person exists in time and space, has name and shape, beginning and end. The universal includes all persons and the absolute is at the root of and beyond all. Q. I am not concerned with the totality. My personal consciousness and your personal consciousness. What is the link between the two? M. Between two dreamers, what can be the link? Q. They may dream of each other. M. That is what people are doing. Everyone imagines others and seeks a link with them. The seeker is the link. There is none other. Q. Surely there must be something in common between the many points of consciousness we are. M. Where are the many points? In your mind. You insist that your world is independent of your mind. How can it be? Your desire to know other people's minds is due to your not knowing your own mind. First know your own mind and you will find that the question of other minds does not arise at all. For there are no other people. You are the common factor. The only link between the minds. Being is consciousness. I am applies to all. Q. The supreme reality, Parabrahman, may be present in all of us. But of what use is it to us? M. You are like a man who says, I need a place where to keep my things. But of what use is space to me, or I need milk, tea, coffee or soda. But for water I have no use. Don't you see that the supreme reality is what makes everything possible? But if you ask of what use is it to you, I must answer, none. In matters of daily life the knower of the real has no advantage. He may be at a disadvantage rather, being free from greed and fear. He does not protect himself. The very idea of profit is foreign to him. He abhors accretions. His life is constant divesting oneself, sharing, giving. Q. If there is no advantage in gaining the supreme, then why take the trouble? M. There is trouble only when you cling to something. When you hold on to nothing, no trouble arises. The relinquishing of the lesser is the gaining of the greater. Give up all and you gain all. Then life becomes what it was meant to be. Pure radiation from an inexhaustible source. In that light the world appears dimly like a dream. Q. If my world is merely a dream and you are a part of it, what can you do for me? If the dream is not real, having no being, how can reality affect it? M. While it lasts, the dream has temporary being. It is your desire to hold on to it that creates the problem. Let go. Stop imagining that the dream is yours. Q. You seem to take for granted that there can be a dream without a dreamer and that I identify myself with the dream of my own sweet will. But I am the dreamer and the dream too. Who is to stop dreaming? M. Let the dream unroll itself to its very end. You cannot help it. But you can look at the dream as a dream. Refuse it the stamp of reality. Q. Here am I, sitting before you. I am dreaming and you are watching me talking in my dream. What is the link between us? M. My intention to wake you up is the link. My heart wants you awake. I see you suffer in your dream and I know that you must wake up to end your woes. When you see your dream as dream, you wake up. But in your dream itself I am not interested. Enough for me to know that you must wake up. You need not bring your dream to a definite conclusion, or make it noble, or happy, or beautiful. All you need is to realize that you are dreaming. Stop imagining. Stop believing. See the contradictions, the incongruities, the falsehood and the sorrow of the human state, the need to go beyond. Within the immensity of space floats a tiny atom of consciousness, and in it the entire universe is contained. Q. There are affections in the dream which seem real and everlasting. Do they disappear on waking up? M. In dream you love some and not others. On waking up you find you are love itself, embracing all. Personal love, however intense and genuine, invariably binds. Love in freedom is love of all. Q. People come and go. One loves whom one meets. One cannot love all. M. When you are love itself, you are beyond time and numbers. In loving one you love all. In loving all, you love each. One and all are not exclusive. Q. You say you are in a timeless state. Does it mean that past and future are open to you? Did you meet Vashishta Muni, Rama's guru? M. The question isn't time and about time. Again you are asking me about the contents of a dream. Timelessness is beyond the illusion of time. It is not an extension in time. He who called himself Vashishta knew Vashishta. I am beyond all names and shapes. Vashishta is a dream in your dream. How can I know him? You are too much concerned with past and future. It is all due to your longing to continue, to protect yourself against extinction. And as you want to continue, you want others to keep you company, hence your concern with their survival. But what you call survival is but the survival of a dream. Death is preferable to it. There is a chance of waking up. Q. You are aware of eternity. Therefore you are not concerned with survival. M. It is the other way round. Freedom from all desire is eternity. All attachment implies fear, for all things are transient, and fear makes one a slave. This freedom from attachment does not come with practice. It is natural. When one knows one's true being, love does not cling. Clinging is not love. Q. So there is no way to gain detachment? M. There is nothing to gain. Abandon all imaginings and know yourself as you are. Self-knowledge is detachment. All craving is due to a sense of insufficiency. When you know that you lack nothing, that all there is you and yours, desire ceases. Q. To know myself must I practice awareness? M. There is nothing to practice. To know yourself, be yourself. To be yourself, stop imagining yourself to be this or that. Just be. Let your true nature emerge. Don't disturb your mind with seeking. Q. It will take much time if I just wait for self-realization. M. What have you to wait for when it is already here and now? You have only to look and see. Look at yourself, at your own being. You know that you are and you like it. Abandon all imagining. That is all. Do not rely on time. Time is death. Who waits, dies. Life is now only. Do not talk to me about past and future. They exist only in your mind. Q. You too will die. M. I am dead already. Physical death will make no difference in my case. I am timeless being. I am free of desire or fear, because I do not remember the past, or imagine the future. Where there are no names and shapes, how can there be desire and fear? With desirelessness comes timelessness. I am safe, because what is not, cannot touch what is. You feel unsafe, because you imagine danger. Of course, your body as such is complex and vulnerable and needs protection. But not you. Once you realize your own unassailable being, you will be at peace. Q. How can I find peace when the world suffers? M. The world suffers for very valid reasons. If you want to help the world, you must be beyond the need of help. Then all you're doing as well as not doing will help the world most effectively. Q. How can non-action be of use where action is needed? M. Where action is needed, action happens. Man is not the actor. His is to be aware of what is going on. His very presence is action. The window is the absence of the wall, and it gives air and light because it is empty. Be empty of all mental content, of all imagination and effort, and the very absence of obstacles will cause reality to rush in. If you really want to help a person, keep away. If you are emotionally committed to helping, you will fail to help. You may be very busy and be very pleased with your charitable nature, but not much will be done. A man is really helped when he is no longer in need of help. All else is just futility. Q. There is not enough time to sit and wait for help to happen. One must do something. M. By all means, do. But what you can do is limited. The self alone is unlimited. Give limitlessly of yourself. All else you can give in small measures only. You alone are immeasurable. To help is your very nature. Even when you eat and drink, you help your body. For yourself you need nothing. You are pure giving. Beginningless. Endless. Inexhaustible. When you see sorrow and suffering, be with it. Do not rush into activity. Neither learning nor action can really help. Be with sorrow and lay bare its roots. Helping to understand is real help. Q. My death is nearing. M. Your body is short of time, not you. Time and space are in the mind only. You are not bound. Just understand yourself, that itself is eternity. 56. Consciousness arising. World arises. Questioner. When an ordinary man dies, what happens to him? Maharaj. According to his belief, it happens. As life before death is but imagination, so is life after. The dream continues. Q. And what about the jnani? M. The jnani does not die because he was never born. Q. He appears so to others. M. But not to himself. In himself he is free of things, physical and mental. Q. Still you must know the state of the man who died, at least from your own past lives. M. Until I met my guru I knew so many things. Now I know nothing. For all knowledge is in dream only and not valid. I know myself and I find no life nor death in me. Only pure being. Not being this or that. But just being. But the moment the mind, drawing on its stock of memories, begins to imagine, it fills the space with objects and time with events. As I do not know even this birth, how can I know past births? It is the mind that, itself in movement, sees everything moving, and having created time, worries about the past and future. All the universe is cradled in consciousness Mahatattva, which arises where there is perfect order and harmony Mahasattva. As all waves are in the ocean, so are all things physical and mental in awareness. Hence awareness itself is all important, not the content of it. Deepen and broaden your awareness of yourself and all the blessings will flow. You need not seek anything. All will come to you most naturally and effortlessly. The 5 senses and the 4 functions of the mind, memory, thought, understanding and selfhood, the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air and ether, the 2 aspects of creation, matter and spirit, all are contained in awareness. Yet, you must believe in having lived before. The scriptures say so, but I know nothing about it. I know myself as I am. As I appeared or will appear is not within my experience. It is not that I do not remember. In fact, there is nothing to remember. Reincarnation implies a reincarnating self. There is no such thing. The bundle of memories and hopes, called the I, imagines itself existing everlastingly and creates time to accommodate its false eternity. To be, I need no past or future. All experience is born of imagination. I do not imagine, so no birth or death happens to me. Only those who think themselves born can think themselves reborn. You are accusing me of having been born. I plead not guilty. All exists in awareness and awareness neither dies nor is reborn. It is the changeless reality itself. All the universe of experience is born with the body and dies with the body. It has its beginning and end in awareness. But awareness knows no beginning, nor end. If you think it out carefully and brood over it for a long time, you will come to see the light of awareness in all its clarity and the world will fade out of your vision. It is like looking at a burning incense stick. You see the stick and the smoke first. When you notice the fiery point, you realize that it has the power to consume mountains of sticks and fill the universe with smoke. Timelessly the self actualizes itself, without exhausting its infinite possibilities. In the incense stick simile, the stick is the body and the smoke is the mind. As long as the mind is busy with its contortions, it does not perceive its own source. The Guru comes and turns your attention to the spark within. By its very nature the mind is outward turned. It always tends to seek for the source of things among the things themselves. To be told to look for the source within is, in a way, the beginning of a new life. Awareness takes the place of consciousness. In consciousness there is the I, who is conscious while awareness is undivided. Awareness is aware of itself. The I am is a thought, while awareness is not a thought. There is no I am aware in awareness. Consciousness is an attribute while awareness is not. One can be aware of being conscious, but not conscious of awareness. God is the totality of consciousness, but awareness is beyond all, being as well as not being. I had started with the question about the condition of a man after death. When his body is destroyed, what happens to his consciousness? Does he carry his senses of seeing, hearing, etc. along with him, or does he leave them behind? And, if he loses his senses, what becomes to his consciousness? Senses are mere modes of perception. As the grosser modes disappear, finer states of consciousness emerge. Is there no transition to awareness after death? There can be no transition from consciousness to awareness, for awareness is not a form of consciousness. Consciousness can only become more subtle and refined, and that is what happens after death. As the various vehicles of man die off, the modes of consciousness induced by them also fade away. Until only unconsciousness remains. Look at yourself talking of unconsciousness as something that comes and goes. Who is there to be conscious of unconsciousness? As long as the window is open, there is sunlight in the room. With the windows shut, the sun remains. But does it see the darkness in the room? Is there anything like darkness to the sun? There is no such thing as unconsciousness, for unconsciousness is not experienceable. We infer unconsciousness when there is a lapse in memory or communication. If I stop reacting, you will say that I am unconscious. In reality, I may be most acutely conscious, only unable to communicate or remember. I am asking a simple question. There are about 4 billion people in the world and they are all bound to die. What will be their condition after death? Not physically, but psychologically. Will their consciousness continue? And if it does, in what form? Do not tell me that I am not asking the right question, or that you do not know the answer, or that in your world my question is meaningless. The moment you start talking about your world and my world as different and incompatible, you build a wall between us. Either we live in one world or your experience is of no use to us. Of course we live in one world. Only I see it as it is, while you don't. You see yourself in the world, while I see the world in myself. To you, you get born and die, while to me, the world appears and disappears. Our world is real, but your view of it is not. There is no wall between us, except the one built by you. There is nothing wrong with the senses. It is your imagination that misleads you. It covers up the world as it is, with what you imagine it to be. Something existing independently of you and yet closely following your inherited or acquired patterns. There is a deep contradiction in your attitude, which you do not see and which is the cause of sorrow. You cling to the idea that you were born into a world of pain and sorrow. I know that the world is a child of love, having its beginning, growth and fulfillment and love. But I am beyond love even. Q. If you have created the world out of love, why is it so full of pain? M. You are right, from the body's point of view. But you are not the body. You are the immensity and infinity of consciousness. Don't assume what is not true and you will see things as I see them. Pain and pleasure, good and bad, right and wrong. These are relative terms and must not be taken absolutely. They are limited and temporary. Q. In the Buddhist tradition it is stated that a nirvana, an enlightened Buddha, has the freedom of the universe. He can know and experience for himself all that exists. He can command, interfere with nature, with the chain of causation, change the sequence of events, even undo the past. The world is still with him but he is free in it. M. What you describe is God. Of course, where there is a universe, there will also be its counterpart, which is God. But I am beyond both. There was a kingdom in search of a king. They found the right man and made him king. In no way had he changed. He was merely given the title, the rights and the duties of a king. His nature was not affected, only his actions. Similarly, with the enlightened man, the content of his consciousness undergoes a radical transformation. But he is not misled. He knows the changeless. Q. The changeless cannot be conscious. Consciousness is always of change. The changeless leaves no trace in consciousness. M. Yes and no. The paper is not the writing, yet it carries the writing. The ink is not the message, nor is the reader's mind the message, but they all make the message possible. Q. Does consciousness come down from reality or is it an attribute of matter? M. Consciousness as such is the subtle counterpart of matter. Just as inertia, tamas, and energy, rajas, are attributes of matter, so does harmony sattva manifest itself as consciousness. You may consider it in a way as a form of very subtle energy. Wherever matter organizes itself into a stable organism, consciousness appears spontaneously. With the destruction of the organism, consciousness disappears. Q. Then what survives? M. That, of which matter and consciousness are but aspects, which is neither born nor dies. Q. If it is beyond matter and consciousness, how can it be experienced? M. It can be known by its effects on both. Look for it in beauty and in bliss. But you will understand neither body nor consciousness, unless you go beyond both. Q. Please tell us squarely, are you conscious or unconscious? M. The enlightened, jnani, is neither, but in his enlightenment, jnana, all is contained. Awareness contains every experience, but he who is aware is beyond every experience. He is beyond awareness itself. Q. There is the background of experience. Call it matter. There is the experiencer. Call it mind. What makes the bridge between the two? M. The very gap between is the bridge. That, which at one end looks like matter and at the other as mind, is in itself the bridge. Don't separate reality into mind and body and there will be no need of bridges. Consciousness arising, the world arises. When you consider the wisdom and the beauty of the world, you call it God. Know the source of it all, which is in yourself, and you will find all your questions answered. Q. The seer and the seen. Are they one or two? M. There is only seeing. Both the seer and the seen are contained in it. Don't create differences where there are none. Q. I began with the question about the man who died. You said that his experiences will shape themselves according to his expectations and beliefs. M. Before you were born you expected to live according to a plan, which you yourself had laid down. Your own will was the backbone of your destiny. Q. Surely, karma interfered. M. Karma shapes the circumstances. The attitudes are your own. Ultimately your character shapes your life and you alone can shape your character. Q. How does one shape one's character? M. By seeing it as it is, and being sincerely sorry. This integral seeing feeling can work miracles. It is like casting a bronze image. Metal alone, or fire alone will not do, nor will the mold be of any use. You have to melt down the metal in the heat of the fire and cast it in the mold. 57. Beyond mind there is no suffering. Questioner. I see you sitting in your son's house waiting for lunch to be served. And I wonder whether the content of your consciousness is similar to mine, or partly different, or totally different. Are you hungry and thirsty as I am, waiting rather impatiently for the meals to be served? Or are you in an altogether different state of mind? Maharaj, there is not much difference on the surface, but very much of it in depth. You know yourself only through the senses and the mind. You take yourself to be what they suggest. Having no direct knowledge of yourself, you have mere ideas, all mediocre, second-hand, by hearsay. Whatever you think you are, you take it to be true. The habit of imagining yourself perceivable and describable is very strong with you. I see as you see, hear as you hear, taste as you taste, eat as you eat. I also feel thirst and hunger and expect my food to be served on time. When starved or sick, my body and mind go weak. All this I perceive quite clearly, but somehow I am not in it. I feel myself as if floating over it, aloof and detached. Even not aloof and detached. There is aloofness and detachment as there is thirst and hunger. There is also the awareness of it all and a sense of immense distance, as if the body and the mind and all that happens to them were somewhere far out on the horizon. I am like a cinema screen, clear and empty. The pictures pass over it and disappear, leaving it as clear and empty as before. In no way is the screen affected by the pictures, nor are the pictures affected by the screen. The screen intercepts and reflects the pictures. It does not shape them. It has nothing to do with the rolls of films. These are as they are. Lumps of destiny prarabdha, but not my destiny. the destinies of the people on the screen. Q. You do not mean to say that the people in a picture have destinies. They belong to the story. The story is not theirs. M. And what about you? Do you shape your life or are you shaped by it? Q. Yes. You are right. A life story unrolls itself of which I am one of the actors. I have no being outside it, as it has no being without me. I am merely a character, not a person. M. The character will become a person when he begins to shape his life instead of accepting it as it comes and identifying himself with it. Q. When I ask a question and you answer, what exactly happens? M. The question and the answer both appear on the screen. The lips move. The body speaks. And again the screen is clear and empty. Q. When you say, clear and empty, what do you mean? M. I mean free of all contents. To myself I am neither perceivable nor conceivable. There is nothing I can point out and say, this I am. You identify yourself with everything so easily. I find it impossible. The feeling, I am not this or that, nor is anything mine, is so strong in me that as soon as a thing or a thought appears, there comes at once the sense this I am not. Q. Do you mean to say that you spend your time repeating this I am not, that I am not? M. Of course not. I am merely verbalizing for your sake. By the grace of my guru I have realized once and for good that I am neither object nor subject, and I do not need to remind myself all the time. Q. I find it hard to grasp what exactly do you mean by saying that you are neither the object nor the subject. At this very moment, as we talk, am I not the object of your experience, and you the subject? M. Look. My thumb touches my forefinger. Both touch and are touched. When my attention is on the thumb is the feeler and the forefinger, the self. Shift the focus of attention and the relationship is reversed. I find that somehow, by shifting the focus of attention, I become the very thing I look at and experience the kind of consciousness it has. I become the inner witness of the thing. I call this capacity of entering other focal points of consciousness love. You may give it any name you like. Love says, I am everything. Wisdom says, I am nothing. Between the two my life flows. Since at any point of time and space I can be both the subject and the object of experience, I express it by saying that I am both, and neither, and beyond both. Q. You may call these extraordinary statements about yourself. What makes you say those things? What do you mean by saying that you are beyond space and time? M. You ask and the answer comes. I watch myself. I watch the answer and see no contradiction. It is clear to me that I am telling you the truth. It is all very simple. Only you must trust me that I mean what I say, that I am quite serious. As I told you already, my guru showed me my true nature, and the true nature of the world. Having realized that I am one with, and yet beyond the world, I became free from all desire and fear. I did not reason out that I should be free. I found myself free, unexpectedly, without the least effort. This freedom from desire and fear remained with me since then. Another thing I noticed was that I do not need to make an effort. The deed follows the thought, without delay and friction. I have also found that thoughts become self-fulfilling. Things would fall in place smoothly and rightly. The main change was in the mind. It became motionless and silent, responding quickly, but not perpetuating the response. Spontaneity became a way of life. The real became natural and the natural became real. And above all, infinite affection, love, dark and quiet, radiating in all directions, embracing all, making all interesting and beautiful, significant and auspicious. Q. We are told that various yogic powers arise spontaneously in a man who has realized his own true being. What is your experience in these matters? M. Man's fivefold body, physical etc., has potential powers beyond our wildest dreams. Not only is the entire universe reflected in man, but also the power to control the universe is waiting to be used by him. The wise man is not anxious to use such powers, except when the situation calls for them. He finds the abilities and skills of the human personality quite adequate for the business of daily living. Some of the powers can be developed by specialized training, but the man who flaunts such powers is still in bondage. The wise man counts nothing as his own. When at some time and place some miracle is attributed to some person, he will not establish any causal link between events and people, nor will he allow any conclusions to be drawn. All happened as it happened because it had to happen. Everything happens as it does, because the universe is as it is. Q. The universe does not seem a happy place to live in. Why is there so much suffering? M. Pain is physical. Suffering is mental. Beyond the mind there is no suffering. Pain is merely a signal that the body is in danger and requires attention. Similarly, suffering warns us that the structure of memories and habits, which we call the person, Vyakti, is threatened by loss or change. Pain is essential for the survival of the body, but none compels you to suffer. Suffering is due entirely to clinging or resisting. It is a sign of our unwillingness to move on, to flow with life. As a sane life is free of pain, so is a saintly life free from suffering. Q. Nobody has suffered more than saints. M. Did they tell you? Or do you say so on your own? The essence of saintliness is total acceptance of the present moment, harmony with things as they happen. A saint does not want things to be different from what they are. He knows that, considering all factors, they are unavoidable. He is friendly with the inevitable and therefore does not suffer. Pain he may know, but it does not shatter him. If he can, he does the needful to restore the lost balance, or he lets things take their course. Q. He may die. M. So what? What does he gain by living on and what does he lose by dying? What was born, must die. What was never born cannot die. It all depends on what he takes himself to be. Q. Imagine you fall mortally ill. Would you not regret and resent? M. But I am dead already. Or, rather, neither alive nor dead. You see my body behaving the habitual way and draw your own conclusions. You will not admit that your conclusions bind nobody but you. Do see that the image you have of me may be altogether wrong. Your image of yourself is wrong too. But that is your problem. But you need not create problems for me and then ask me to solve them. I am neither creating problems nor solving them. 58. Perfection. Destiny of all. Questioner. When asked about the means for self-realization, you invariably stress the importance of the mind dwelling on the sense I am. Where is the causal factor? Why should this particular thought result in self-realization? How does the contemplation of I am affect me? Maharaj. The very fact of observation alters the observer and the observed. After all, what prevents the insight into one's true nature is the weakness and obtuseness of the mind and its tendency to skip the subtle and focus on the gross only. When you follow my advice and try to keep your mind on the notion of I am only, you become fully aware of your mind and its vagaries. Awareness, being lucid harmony sattva, in action, dissolves dullness and quietens the restlessness of the mind and gently, but steadily changes its very substance. This change need not be spectacular. It may be hardly noticeable. Yet it is a deep and fundamental shift from darkness to light, from inadvertence to awareness. Q. Must it be the I am formula? Will not any other sentence do? If I concentrate on there is a table, will it not serve the same purpose? M. As an exercise in concentration. Yes. But it will not take you beyond the idea of a table. You are not interested in tables. You want to know yourself. For this keep steadily in the focus of consciousness the only clue you have, your certainty of being. Be with it. Play with it. Ponder over it. Delve deeply into it. Till the shell of ignorance breaks open and you emerge into the realm of reality. Q. Is there any causal link between my focusing the I am and the breaking of the shell? M. The urge to find oneself is a sign that you are getting ready. The impulse always comes from within. Unless your time has come, you will have neither the desire nor the strength to go for self-inquiry wholeheartedly. Q. Is not the grace of the Guru responsible for the desire and its fulfillment? Is not the Guru's radiant face the bait on which we are caught and pulled out of this mire of sorrow? M. It is the inner Guru, Sadguru, who takes you to the outer Guru, as a mother takes her child to her teacher. Trust and obey your Guru, for he is the messenger of your real self. Q. How do I find a Guru whom I can trust? M. Your own heart will tell you. There is no difficulty in finding a Guru, because the Guru is in search of you. The Guru is always ready. You are not ready. You have to be ready to learn, or you may meet your Guru and waste your chance by sheer inattentiveness and obstinacy. Take my example. There was nothing in me of much promise. But when I met my guru, I listened, trusted and obeyed. Q. Must I not examine the teacher before I put myself entirely into his hands? M. By all means examine. But what can you find out? Only as he appears to you on your own level. Q. I shall watch whether he is consistent, whether there is harmony between his life and his teaching. M. You may find plenty of disharmony. So what? It proves nothing. Only motives matter. How will you know his motives? Q. I should at least expect him to be a man of self-control who lives a righteous life. M. Such you will find many and of no use to you. A guru can show the way back home, to your real self. What has this to do with the character or temperament of the person he appears to be? Does he not clearly tell you that he is not the person? The only way you can judge is by the change in yourself when you are in his company. If you feel more at peace and happy, if you understand yourself with more than usual clarity and depth, it means you have met the right man. Take your time, but once you have made up your mind to trust him absolutely and follow every instruction fully and faithfully. It does not matter much if you do not accept him as your guru and are satisfied with his company only. Satsang alone can also take you to your goal, provided it is unmixed and undisturbed. But once you accept somebody as your guru, listen, remember and obey. Half-heartedness is a serious drawback and the cause of much self-created sorrow. The mistake is never the guru's. It is always the obtuseness and cussedness of the discipline that is at fault. Q. Does the guru then dismiss or disqualify a disciple? M. He would not be a guru if he did. He bides his time and waits till the disciple, chastened and sobered, comes back to him in a more receptive mood. Q. What is the motive? Why does the guru take so much trouble? M. Sorrow and the ending of sorrow. He sees people suffering in their dreams and he wants them to wake up. Love is intolerant of pain and suffering. The patience of a guru has no limits and, therefore, it cannot be defeated. The guru never fails. Q. Is my first guru also my last? Or do I have to pass from guru to guru? M. The entire universe is your guru. You learn from everything. If you are alert and intelligent, were your mind clear and your heart clean, you would learn from every passerby. It is because you are indolent or restless that your inner self manifests as the outer guru and makes you trust him and obey. Q. Is a guru inevitable? M. It is like asking, is a mother inevitable to rise in consciousness from one dimension to another? You need help. The help may not always be in the shape of a human person. It may be a subtle presence, or a spark of intuition. But help must come. The inner self is watching and waiting for the son to return to his father. At the right time he arranges everything affectionately and effectively. Where a messenger is needed, or a guide, he sends the guru to do the needful. Q. There is one thing I cannot grasp. You speak of the inner self as wise and good and beautiful and in every way perfect, and of the person as mere reflection without a being of its own. On the other hand, you take so much trouble in helping the person to realize itself. If the person is so unimportant, why be so concerned with its welfare? Who cares for a shadow? You have brought in duality where there is none. There is the body and there is the self. Between them is the mind, in which the self is reflected as I am. Because of the imperfections of the mind, its crudity and restlessness, lack of discernment and insight, it takes itself to be the body, not the self. All that is needed is to purify the mind so that it can realize its identity with the self. When the mind merges in the self, the body presents no problems. It remains what it is, an instrument of cognition and action, the tool and the expression of the creative fire within. The ultimate value of the body is that it serves to discover the cosmic body, which is the universe in its entirety. As you realize yourself in manifestation, you keep on discovering that you are ever more than what you have imagined. Is there no end to self-discovery? As there is no beginning, there is no end. But what I have discovered by the grace of my Guru is, I am nothing that can be pointed at. I am neither of this nor of that. This holds absolutely. Then, where comes in the never-ending discovery, the endless transcending oneself into hue dimensions? All this belongs to the realm of manifestation. It is in the very structure of the universe that the higher can be had only through the freedom from the lower. What is lower and what is higher? Look at it in terms of awareness. Wider and deeper consciousness is higher. All that lives, works for protecting, perpetuating and expanding consciousness. This is the world's sole meaning and purpose. It is the very essence of yoga, ever raising the level of consciousness, discovery of new dimensions, with their properties, qualities and powers. In that sense, the entire universe becomes a school of yoga, Yogakshatra. Is perfection the destiny of all human beings? Of all living beings. Ultimately, the possibility becomes a certainty when the notion of enlightenment appears in the mind. Once a living being has heard and understood that deliverance is within his reach, he will never forget, for it is the first message from within. It will take roots and grow and in due course take the blessed shape of the Guru. So all we are concerned with is the redemption of the mind. What else? The mind goes astray. The mind returns home. Even the word astray is not proper. The mind must know itself in every mood. Nothing is a mistake unless repeated. 59. Desire and fear. Self-centered states. Questioner: I would like to go again into the question of pleasure and pain. Desire and fear. I understand fear, which is memory and anticipation of pain. It is essential for the preservation of the organism and its living pattern. Needs, when felt, are painful and their anticipation is full of fear. We are rightly afraid of not being able to meet our basic needs. The relief experienced when a need is met, or an anxiety allayed, is entirely due to the ending of pain. We may give it positive names like pleasure, or joy, or happiness, but essentially it is relief from pain. It is this fear of pain that holds together our social, economic and political institutions. What puzzles me is that we derive pleasure from things and states of mind, which have nothing to do with survival. On the contrary, our pleasures are usually destructive. They damage or destroy the object, the instrument, and also the subject of pleasure. Otherwise, pleasure and pursuit of pleasure would be no problem. This brings me to the core of my question. Why is pleasure destructive? Why, in spite of its destructiveness, is it wanted? I may add, I do not have in mind the pleasure-pain pattern by which nature compels us to go her way. I think of the man-made pleasures, both sensory and subtle, ranging from the grossest, like overeating, to the most refined. Addiction to pleasure, at whatever cost, is so universal that there must be something significant at the root of it. Of course, not every activity of man must be utilitarian, designed to meet a need. Play, for example, is natural, and man is the most playful animal in existence. Play fulfills the need for self-discovery and self-development. But even on his play, man becomes destructive of nature, others, and himself. Maharaj. In short, you do not object to pleasure, but only to its price in pain and sorrow. Q. If reality itself is bliss, then pleasure in some way must be related to it. M. Let us not proceed by verbal logic. The bliss of reality does not exclude suffering. Besides, you know only pleasure, not the bliss of pure being. So let us examine pleasure at its own level. If you look at yourself in your moments of pleasure or pain, you will invariably find that it is not the thing in itself that is pleasant or painful, but the situation of which it is a part. Pleasure lies in the relationship between the enjoyer and the enjoyed, and the essence of it is acceptance. Whatever may be the situation, if it is acceptable, it is pleasant. If it is not acceptable, it is painful. What makes it acceptable is not important. The cause may be physical, or psychological, or untraceable. Acceptance is the decisive factor. Obviously, suffering is due to non-acceptance. Q. Pain is not acceptable. M. Why not? Did you ever try? Do try, and you will find in pain a joy which pleasure cannot yield. For the simple reason that acceptance of pain takes you much deeper than pleasure does. The personal self by its very nature is constantly pursuing pleasure and avoiding pain. The ending of this pattern is the ending of the self. The ending of the self with its desires and fears enables you to return to your real nature, the source of all happiness and peace. The perennial desire for pleasure is the reflection of the timeless harmony within. It is an observable fact that one becomes self-conscious only when caught in the conflicts between pleasure and pain, which demands choice and decision. It is this clash between desire and fear that causes anger, which is the great destroyer of sanity in life. When pain is accepted for what it is, a lesson and a warning, and deeply looked into and heeded, the separation between pain and pleasure breaks down. Both become experience painful when resisted, joyful when accepted. Q. Do you advise shunning pleasure and pursuing pain? M. No. Nor pursuing pleasure and shunning pain. Accept both as they come. Enjoy both while they last. Let them go, as they must. Q. How can I possibly enjoy pain? Physical pain calls for action. M. Of course. And so does mental. The bliss is in the awareness of it, in not shrinking, or in any way turning away from it. All happiness comes from awareness. The more we are conscious, the deeper the joy. Acceptance of pain, non-resistance, courage and endurance. These open deep and perennial sources of real happiness. True bliss. Q. Why should pain be more effective than pleasure? M. Pleasure is readily accepted, while all the powers of the self reject pain, as the acceptance of pain is the denial of the self, and the self stands in the way of true happiness. The wholehearted acceptance of pain releases the springs of happiness. Q. Does the acceptance of suffering act the same way? M. The fact of pain is easily brought within the focus of awareness. With suffering it is not that simple. To focus suffering is not enough. For mental life, as we know it, is one continuous stream of suffering. To reach the deeper layers of suffering you must go to its roots and uncover their vast underground network, where fear and desire are closely interwoven and the currents of life's energy oppose, obstruct and destroy each other. Q. How can I set right a tangle which is entirely below the level of my consciousness? M. By being with yourself, the I am. By watching yourself in your daily life with alert interest, with the intention to understand rather than to judge, in full acceptance of whatever may emerge, because it is there. You encourage the deep to come to the surface and enrich your life and consciousness with its captive energies. This is the great work of awareness. It removes obstacles and releases energies by understanding the nature of life and mind. Intelligence is the door to freedom and alert attention is the mother of intelligence. Q. One more question. Why does pleasure end in pain? M. Everything has a beginning and an end, and so does pleasure. Don't anticipate and don't regret, and there will be no pain. It is memory and imagination that cause suffering. Of course, pain after pleasure may be due to the misuse of the body or the mind. The body knows its measure, but the mind does not. Its appetites are numberless and limitless. Watch your mind with great diligence, for there lies your bondage and also the key to freedom. Q. My question is not yet fully answered. Why are man's pleasures destructive? Why does he find so much pleasure in destruction? Life's concern lies in protection, perpetuation and expansion of itself. In this it is guided by pain and pleasure. At what point do they become destructive? M. When the mind takes over, remembers and anticipates, It exaggerates. It distorts. It overlooks. The past is projected into future and the future betrays the expectations. The organs of sensation and action are stimulated beyond capacity and they inevitably break down. The objects of pleasure cannot yield what is expected of them and get worn out, or destroyed, by misuse. It results in excess of pain where pleasure was looked for. Q. We destroy not only ourselves, but others too. M. Naturally, selfishness is always destructive. Desire and fear, both are self-centered states. Between desire and fear anger arises. With anger hatred. With hatred passion for destruction. War is hatred in action, organized and equipped with all the instruments of death. Q. Is there a way to end these horrors? M. When more people come to know their real nature, their influence, however subtle, will prevail and the world's emotional atmosphere will sweeten up. People follow their leaders and when among the leaders appear some, great in heart and mind, and absolutely free from self-seeking, their impact will be enough to make the crudities and crimes of the present age impossible. A new golden age may come and last for a time and succumb to its own perfection. 4. Ebb begins when the tide is at its highest. Q. Is there no such thing as permanent perfection? M. Yes, there is, but it includes all imperfection. It is the perfection of our self-nature which makes everything possible, perceivable, interesting. It knows no suffering, for it neither likes nor dislikes, neither accepts nor rejects. Creation and destruction are the two poles between which it weaves its ever-changing pattern. Be free from predilections and preferences and the mind with its burden of sorrow will be no more. Q. But I am not alone to suffer. There are others. M. When you go to them with your desires and fears, you merely add to their sorrows. First be free of suffering yourself and then only hope of helping others. You do not even need to hope. Your very existence will be the greatest help a man can give his fellow men. 60. Life facts, not fancies. Questioner. You say that whatever you see is yourself. You also admit that you see the world as we see it. Here is today's newspaper with all the horrors going on. Since the world is yourself, how can you explain such misbehavior? Maharaj. Which world do you have in mind? Q. Our common world, in which we live. M. Are you sure we live in the same world? I do not mean nature, the sea and the land, plants and animals. They are not the problem, nor the endless space, the infinite time, the inexhaustible power. Do not be misled by my eating and smoking, reading and talking. My mind is not here. My life is not here. Your world, of desires and their fulfillments, of fears and their escapes, is definitely not my world. I do not even perceive it, except through what you tell me about it. It is your private dream world and my only reaction to it is to ask you to stop dreaming. Q. Surely, wars and revolutions are not dreams. Sick mothers and starving children are not dreams. Wealth, ill-gotten and misused, is not a dream. M. What else? Q. A dream cannot be shared. M. Nor can the waking state. All the three states of waking, dreaming and sleeping are subjective, personal, intimate. They all happen to and are contained within the little bubble in consciousness called I. The real world lies beyond the self. Q. Self or no self. Facts are real. M. Of course facts are real. I live among them. But you live with fancies, not with facts. Facts never clash, while your life and world are full of contradictions. Contradiction is the mark of the false. The real never contradicts itself. For instance, you complain that people are abjectly poor, yet you do not share your riches with them. You mind the war next door, but you hardly give it a thought when it is in some far-off country. The shifting fortunes of your ego determine your values. I think, I want, I must are made into absolutes. Q. Nevertheless, the evil is real. M. Not more real than you are. Evil is in the wrong approach to problems created by misunderstanding and misuse. It is a vicious circle. Q. Can the circle be broken? M. A false circle need not be broken. It is enough to see it as it is, non-existent. Q. But real enough to make us submit to and inflict indignities and atrocities. M. Insanity is universal. Sanity is rare. Yet there is hope. Because the moment we perceive our insanity, we are on the way to sanity. This is the function of the Guru, to make us see the madness of our daily living. Life makes you conscious, but the teacher makes you aware. Q. Sir, you are neither the first nor the last. Since immemorial times people were breaking into reality, yet how little it affected our lives. The Ramas and the Krishnas, the Buddhas and the Christs have come and gone, and we are as we were, wallowing in sweat and tears. What have the great ones done, whose lives we witnessed? What have you done, sir, to alleviate the world's thrall? M. You alone can undo the evil you have created. Your own callous selfishness is at the root of it. Put first your own house in order and you will see that your work is done. Q. The men of wisdom and of love, who came before us, did set themselves right, often at a tremendous cost. What was the outcome? A shooting star, however bright, does not make the night less dark. M. To judge them and their work you must become one of them. A frog in a well knows nothing about the birds in the sky. Q. Do you mean to say that between good and evil there is no wall? M. There is no wall, because there is no good and no evil. In every concrete situation there is only the necessary and the unnecessary. The needful is right, the needless is wrong. Q. Who decides? M. The situation decides. Every situation is a challenge which demands the right response. When the response is right, the challenge is met and the problem ceases. If the response is wrong, the challenge is not met and the problem remains unsolved. your unsolved problems. That is what constitutes your karma. Solve them rightly and be free. Q. You seem to drive me always back into myself. Is there no objective solution to the world's problems? M. The world problems were created by numberless people like you, each full of his own desires and fears. Who can free you of your past, personal and social, except yourself? And how will you do it unless you see the urgent need of your being first free of cravings born of illusion? How can you truly help, as long as you need help yourself? Q. In what way did the ancient sages help? In what way do you help? A few individuals profit, no doubt. Your guidance and example may mean a lot to them. But in what way do you affect humanity, the totality of life and consciousness? You say that you are the world and the world is you. What impact have you made on it? M. What kind of impact do you expect? Q. Man is stupid, selfish, cruel. M. Man is also wise, affectionate and kind. Q. Why does not goodness prevail? M. It does. In my real world. In my world even what you call evil is the servant of the good and therefore necessary. It is like boils and fevers that clear the body of impurities. Disease is painful, even dangerous, but if dealt with rightly, it heals. Q. Or kills. M. In some cases death is the best cure. Our life may be worse than death, which is but rarely an unpleasant experience, whatever the appearances. Therefore, pity the living, never the dead. This problem of things, good and evil in themselves, does not exist in my world. The needful is good and the needless is evil. In your world the pleasant is good and the painful is evil. Q. What is necessary? M. To grow is necessary. To outgrow is necessary. To leave behind the good for the sake of the better is necessary. Q. To what end? M. The end is in the beginning. You end where you start, in the absolute. Q. Why all this trouble then? To come back to where I started? M. Whose trouble? Which trouble? Do you pity the seed that is to grow and multiply till it becomes a mighty forest? Do you kill an infant to save him from the bother of living? What is wrong with life? Ever more life. Remove the obstacles to growing and all your personal, social, economic and political problems will just dissolve. The universe is perfect as a whole and the parts striving for perfection is a way of joy. Willingly sacrifice the imperfect to the perfect and there will be no more talk about good and evil. Q. Yet we are afraid of the better and cling to the worse. M. This is our stupidity, verging on insanity.